Hey everybody, this is Cameron from Obnoxious and Anonymous, and welcome to the Twin Peaks Thought of the Day for Saturday, August 12th, 2017. My guests today are Hal. How's it going?
Cameron, good to see you again.
Oh my goodness, it feels like forever since I've seen you, since you didn't show up for the instant reaction video, made me do it all alone.
I missed last week's, but I will be back this Sunday.
God, you know there's nothing more important than Twin Peaks, right?
I know, man. I had to pick somebody up from the airport, so it was kind of one of those things. I wouldn't have missed it otherwise.
It's funny though, because some people were like saying, "Oh wow, I've never seen you do one of these videos alone. It was super cool seeing you having to do that." And other people were like, "Bring back Hal, you're terrible."
No, that's not so. I think one person might have said something like that.
Well, if one person says it, it feels like a freight train. My other guest tonight is making his comeback here. This is the writer Richard Austin. How's it going, man?
Not bad. Thanks for having me. Greetings from London yet again.
So
and it's been a while since I've been on it. I haven't talked to you guys for about 5-6 weeks now. So yeah, lots to catch up on.
Look at that picture behind you. Are you Gordon Cole?
I wondered whether you'd noticed that. Yeah, I knocked that up at school when I had a spare moment. So
that's great. You got to lean sideways and do the whistle, man. There you go. Nice.
Something to keep up with your brilliant woodsman impersonation. Hal, so, yeah.
Might as well just get that over with right now, Hal.
You know what? That needs to be retired. That was episode 8. We're at episode 14 now. All right, one more. Got a light. All right, now I'm not going to do it again until that guy comes back on the show.
All right. Well, before we get into other topics, I have to once again show off my awesome Black Lodge Cooper, Black Lodge Laura Palmer. I love the fact that she's in the meanwhile pose. It's just fantastic. And this was a Comic-Con exclusive, but you could get it online, and I wouldn't have known anything about this until Hal told me you could. And Hal, this is now going for oh, you got one too.
I got one too, man. There it is.
Oh man, I'm no longer special.
I like Coop's coffee cup with the syrupy coffee too.
Look, my box is better than yours. Look, it's bigger right here.
Why you, I oughta.
Now, I don't know about yours, but was yours crumpled like mine?
Mine was not. Mine came nicely bubble wrapped, so perfect mint condition.
Oh, you. So
I know you're a stickler for that condition, man. I watched you do Blu-ray videos. And you're like, this sticker's crippled. I'm going to send it back.
No, it was terrible. And it wasn't even the right version of the Muppets that I ordered. So yes, it's going back. But I have good news, or I should say I've got good news. Look what came in the mail today.
Ooh.
I don't know. I'm going to have to open it and find out. I got to tell you, though, I don't know what's come over me, because I said I wasn't going to buy that much Twin Peaks merchandise because, but after getting this Comic-Con exclusive thing, I've now gotten the bug a little bit.
I know. I kind of was leaning towards getting more of these Funko Pop things too, which I think are actually stupid, but I love these Black Lodge ones. So now I'm like looking at the other ones going, that would look nice next to it.
Well, this will definitely
consume.
Well, this
consume.
Well, this will definitely look nice on my wall.
Oh, you got the Audrey.
Yeah, and I'm trying to figure out, how does she smoke with no mouth? She's holding a cigarette.
Right.
So I ordered this, and I ordered the Log Lady one. There's no way I'm ordering the Bob one. He looks like he's going to a Kiss concert.
Bob's a little too cute.
Yeah, and Leland, not a fan of the Leland one. It's okay, I guess. And the Giant, I wish he was taller. He needs to be bigger than the others. He can't just be the same size as them all.
That's true. I didn't think about that. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
And he looks like, Big Ed. I mean, he doesn't even look like the Giant. But yeah, I said I wasn't going to collect a lot of this Twin Peaks merchandise, but you know what? They're affordable right now, and I figure I'm going to just grab a couple of them just so I have it, and but what story is that, Charlie?
But you're of course going to leave them sealed in the box because you're a collector.
Yeah, and
I
yeah,
It's sad. I'm the same way. It's like,
but I'm not gonna sell them either.
right.
I mean, I just, and also they come with pieces, and I know that if I open it up, I'm gonna lose it and be
List of
upset.
pieces. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the first thing any child lost when you bought Star Wars figures in the '80s. The little toy guns and stuff like that, they were gone.
Right.
So no, I have no interest in losing any of that stuff. But you know, I don't know. I think it's kind of cool, and I love those action figures. The ones that, you know, the Cooper, Laura, Bob,
Yeah,
lady
yeah.
ones. Those are awesome.
Yeah.
Those are.
Yeah, I got those too, and those are still sealed in the package. It's sort of part of me wants to rip them apart and put them out and display them. And
well, that's why you're supposed to buy two, Hal.
two, right?
but this Comic-Con one, I mean, it's going pricey now.
Is it?
Yeah, when I got it, it was about $30 or so.
Yeah.
I mean, with shipping and everything, but now this on Amazon's going for like 90 to 100.
Wow. Is the other site sold out of them, or do they still have them?
I don't know. But I'm sure on eBay they're going probably for 200 or so on there. But yeah, Richard, do you collect any of this stuff?
No, not anymore. I used to. I had a
You're the adult
to
here.
a large collection of Buffy figures at one point.
Awesome.
The things they did there, but
well, you're gonna have to come on. You're gonna have to come on for a Buffy show that I want to do. Every time I make a small little Buffy reference in any of these Twin Peaks episode podcasts, I have people pipe it in saying, "I love the Buffy references." So I think I'm gonna have to do like a whole Buffy show.
So you haven't bought any merch yet, Richard, for the new show?
For the new show, I really splashed out. I bought a sticker to put on my laptop that's coming from the US in the mail. That was about £3, but $5. But now the mortgage 2-year-old, I have to account for every Snickers bar I buy at the minute.
Understood.
so
he doesn't even have a Blu-ray player to get the missing pieces. So we got to first get that. Priorities, Hal. Priorities.
Yes. Yeah.
Forget about
they're
the Funko
actually showing
Pops.
the missing pieces at they're showing it at a cinema here. I don't know whether it's already been on. I thought about going, but there's a cinema in central London called the Prince Charles that shows all night stuff. So John Carpenter all nighters, James Bond all nighters, and they were running Twin Peaks: The Missing Pieces at some point. But I was going to go and see that, but
Cool.
like everything else, I have to find time, and sometimes it's not always possible.
I understand.
Yeah, I missed the local theater here is doing a year-long cult. They call it Cult 101. So they're showing 101 different cult movies this year, and they showed Blue Velvet for like 2 or 3 days, and I missed it. I intended to go, but just didn't make it.
Yeah, I remember I had Blue Velvet on VHS for years, and when I went to college, I took a cinematography class, and they showed us this documentary about the history of cinematography and that type of thing. And in that documentary, they showed the opening of Blue Velvet in its full widescreen glory.
Yeah.
That was the first time, because, you know, back in the early 90s, letterbox wasn't really a thing unless you had Laserdisc, and I hadn't acquired a machine yet. That was the first time I had seen Blue Velvet, the imagery on widescreen.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, look at the difference.
Mm-hmm.
And I was so locked into that TV version of it, or at least the TV image version, not the TV cut of it. I remember when I saw Wild at Heart, I saw that several times in the movie theaters. And then when I got it on VHS, going, I remember seeing this over here and I can't see it anymore.
Yeah.
Or like when Sailor and Lula, or Sailor singing Love Me Tender at the end, they stretched the image because they couldn't get the whole image on the screen. So
yeah, Wild at Heart in its theatrical release on the widescreen, I remember that being just so impactful. And then when I got it on video, it was like, something's missing.
A lot was missing.
Yeah.
Especially the soundtrack. I mean, like, you could watch it, but in the theater it was so loud.
Yeah.
And then on video, you can only turn up your TV as loud as your TV can go. You know, so.
Yeah, I remember when they'd light the fire. That noise in the theater was amazing.
Well, it wasn't just that, but in my theater, we had ground seats, right? They were kind of like recliner seats in the front. First of all, they had red drapes and curtains on the side. It was a big, what do you call those? It was like those old fashioned movie theaters, with like 5 drapes, but it was all red drapes. And so when the opening credits was on fire, you could see the reflection of the flames on the red curtains. And of course, this was right during the Twin Peaks mania. So it was just beautiful. But every time they lit the match, the entire theater shook.
Yeah.
Like a roller coaster.
Yeah.
It was like, and you were like, and then when they did that, when they were dancing in the club to Power Mad, it was all
yeah.
Your whole seat was like, it was like D box It was the greatest thing. Or like when even little things, like when Sailor is talking to Marietta in the public stall, and he says, "You piece of white trash," and then he punches the door.
Yeah.
When he punched the door, your seat would be like that. It was awesome. It was just
excellent,
super awesome. And I know this is the Twin Peaks show, but real quick, one thing I love about Wild at Heart is it's just rip roaring and moving and going so fast, and then they don't have much money. They get stuck in Big Tuna, Texas, and the pace slows.
Yeah.
Right? Doesn't slow where it's boring, but the movie goes with the pace of Sailor and Lula, and the fact that their son name is Pace. It just is beautiful. Yeah, no, I adore that movie. I do too. I think it's one of his best, and it's a film. Believe it or not, even though people love talking about David Lynch, have you noticed that it's just kind of a film that many people don't talk about anymore? It was like a really big film in the early '90s, and now people just talk about Mulholland Drive and Twin Peaks and maybe Blue Velvet.
Yeah,
but Wild at Heart is not really talked about very much.
Time to pull that one out and watch it again, I think.
Yeah. I still have the DVD. I can't afford the Twilight Time Blu-ray that they released. So I don't have a Blu-ray version of it, but the DVD they released, the MGM special edition, they did a great job with that.
I wish they would incorporate the deleted scenes from the lime green box set onto a Wild at Heart DVD.
I have a feeling that that's going to be an upcoming Criterion release.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that Fire Walk with Me is getting a Criterion release with the missing pieces, which I'm going to get just like you.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think we need it just because of the audio problems with the other box set. Yeah. But I do agree with people who say, "Where is Lost Highway? Where is The Elephant Man? Where is Inland Empire on Blu-ray?" I know you have it, Richard, over in England. And that's wonderful for you guys, but the States, we don't have a Region 1 release of these movies.
Yeah, that's a shame.
I've got pretty much everything. I was going to say, it's been a few years since I watched Wild at Heart as well. We talked about it last time I was on, and I think it is about time I watched that again, because it is something that I've kind of forgotten about. Mm. It is, like you said, not many people talk about it anymore. It's not part of the conversation.
Yeah. And, there is a lot of Twin Peaks stuff in it too. They even mentioned, they even do a One-Eyed Jacks reference in there too. So, yeah, what was I just completely forgot what I was going to say now. Oh, well.
There's nothing like the theatrical experience though. That theater here that's showing the cult movies all year. They showed Fire Walk with Me about a month before The Return started. And I've seen that a million times, but I went to see it at 35 millimeter presentation on a big screen and stuff. And it's just so cool in that format,
Yeah. Now I totally remember what I was going to say now. is I think it would be really cool if Criterion released Wild at Heart, obviously with all the deleted scenes from the lime green box set, because I'd like to see at least, they don't have to be remastered, but I want to at least get a Blu-ray, version of it.
Yeah.
But I think what would be super cool, two things. One, they put the actual Cannes Film Festival cut on there. Mm-hmm. And that there's only 1 second difference of that in that entire movie. Mm-hmm. Is that when Bobby Peru gets shot, they don't have that smoke, right?
Right.
It's not the Harry Dean Stanton extra stuff that wasn't in there, but
that would be nice to have.
It would be, but anyway,
I don't think that'll ever surface, but that's like the holy grail of Lynch outtakes.
Yeah, I'm sure if we saw it, it wouldn't be as bad as we conjure up in our head. But
Yeah, I just love Grace Zabriskie, and she said that's her favorite scene that she's ever done. But it'll never be seen. She said.
right. The other thing that I think would be amazing, just astounding, is on a Wild at Heart Blu-ray, if Criterion would also sneak onto it Industrial Symphony #1.
Yeah.
Because of that opening scene with Nicolas Cage and Laura Dern.
It's like an alternate ending.
Kind of. Yeah, and I think it would be amazing to just, hey, listen, if Mark Frost is joking around saying they're going to include on the air with the Twin Peaks The Return Blu-ray set, which I find appalling.
That would be a jarring juxtaposition.
Right? If that even happens, then Industrial Symphony can go along with Wild at Heart.
Exactly. Yeah, that makes way more sense thematically.
Yeah, totally. But speaking of Criterion, I have to throw this out. Unfortunately, it's not happening anymore. But earlier this week, for about 3 days, Amazon was having a sale on an upcoming Criterion Blu-ray called David Lynch, The Art Life.
Mm-hmm.
And on a Criterion sale, you can get them for about $20. This Blu-ray, which drops, I believe, in October or maybe the end of September, it was going for $16.99.
Oh.
So I posted about it online, and I just got a bunch of people throwing back saying, "Well, it's on Amazon Prime right now for free." Okay, that's great. I love streaming things too, but the collector in me says buy it. It's $16.99. Yeah. Even on the Criterion Blu-ray sale, it's $3 cheaper.
But see, you've got that collector mentality. Most people are like, I don't need the object anymore.
I know. I was born before 2000, so I have that collector gene in me.
Me too.
And
I didn't notice that on your shelves behind you, Cameron. And I'm sure there's like a room with about 300 times more that we don't see.
Everything is in this room. Have you been watching my DVD Blu-ray updates videos?
Yes.
People are saying, how are you going from Stendhal syndrome to Scooby-Doo? I'm like, hey,
yeah, you've got eclectic tastes, man.
Exactly. Yeah, I understand why someone may not buy it, because the Blu-ray for The Art Life doesn't have, it might have an interview on there with the director, but it's a small thing. There's nothing really on the disc. So if you want to stream it, awesome. But I don't know. To me, I couldn't let a David Lynch Blu-ray go and not pick it up, especially for that price. Although I have to ask you, are you guys so hardcore David Lynch collectors that do you have Dumbland?
I think I have some files somewhere on Dumbland that somebody uploaded.
Yeah,
I didn't buy was there a disc?
There was. There was.
Oh, no. I wish I would have gotten that.
And I don't have it. I think I did at one point, but I couldn't take it. And
I think it was really expensive, wasn't it? It was only sold through his website, or is that right?
It might have, but no, I think I got it fairly cheap.
Okay.
I think I got it actually on Amazon. I could be wrong, but
that stuff originally was exclusive on davidlynch.com when he had that website, right?
Right. Mm-hmm. And then now you can get it on YouTube. So if you
have
a YouTube downloader, you can just get it. But I don't have Dumbland. I don't have the I can't remember what it was called. I think it was called David Lynch Digital Shorts or something, #1 or something like that. I don't have that. I haven't even seen that.
That had that was stuff from his website too. That
was like him sawing a log or something, right? I mean,
there was one short. It was about 20 minutes long. I think I've got a file for that. Keep talking, and I'll see if I can locate what the name.
Richard, what did you get up to get?
Well, I couldn't. It's upstairs in the room, and it's too late to go. I have a DVD of David Lynch short films of David Lynch, and I have something called David Lynch 1, which I've not watched.
Yeah, that Lynch 1 is like The Art Life is by the same guys that did Lynch 1. It's like they're
okay.
The Art Life is Lynch 3.
Right.
Lynch 2 is on the Inland Empire DVD.
Yes.
Right. Which I sold. Yeah.
Which you sold.
Yeah, for £1. I was hoping it would go for more. I
But you
needed more
know,
money.
in that second disc, he makes quinoa, and while making quinoa, he talks about frog moths,
Yes.
which of course
Oh,
showed up in part 8.
well, someone else is watching that as we speak. Probably.
I guarantee you, nobody is watching that.
Frog moths. And now everybody's going. Now everybody says it's not a moth; it's a locust. It's like frog locust. Man.
What is this, Lucas? Oh my lord. What are you looking for, Hal?
I don't know. I'm still looking. If I don't find it, if I find it, I'll let you know. But it was
Okay.
it was from that davidlynch.com website, and it was like a 20-minute short that nobody talks about, and it was really strange.
What a surprise.
Yeah, I can't remember the name of it though. So I'm trying to find it. I thought I had it, but I may have lost it in a hard drive crash a few years ago, possibly as well. So anyway,
I should do an upcoming episode in a Bang Bang Bar T-shirt. What do you think? I should get that merchandise from Showtime. So I have to ask you, what do you think of all this hoopla going around right now about Twin Peaks season 4? Is it or is it not going to happen?
I think it's not going to happen.
Oh, I guarantee you it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
How can you guarantee that, Cameron? Well, let's see. They announced this new season in 2014. It's 2017. Do you really think Frost and Lynch are going to gather another story together and be out next year?
With no Catherine Coulson, with no Miguel Ferrer.
It's not going to happen.
Mm-mm.
No.
And again, how can we talk about the next season when we don't even know how this one ends? Maybe there's just a complete ending.
Yeah.
And we're done. You know, it's hard. That's why I think when Nevin says, well, when this season's over, maybe we'll talk about it. Well, yeah, because let's see how it ends.
Yeah. But I don't think, I think that what fuels that speculation is Sherilyn Fenn making that comment where Lynch said, depending on how people react, he'd like to do more. She put that out there. And then, David Nevins made the comment, we're always open to David Lynch. So, that fuels people's hope.
One, when did people start putting stock into what Sherilyn Fenn says online?
Well,
no offense. I adore Sherilyn Fenn, but let's be truthful here.
Yes.
Number two, of course, David Nevins is open to David Lynch. He doesn't want the subscribers to abandon this channel like right after it airs, which is what's going to happen. I saw this story the other day about how, Showtime and CBS's stocks have gone up since Twin Peaks. Because the subscribers, watch how it plummets after September.
No doubt.
And
yeah, I mean, as soon as the show ends Sunday night, I'll probably call up and cancel it.
I will cancel it after it gets pulled from the streaming.
Okay.
I want to have access
to watch it again. Yeah.
For 3 weeks, because to be honest, right now we don't have a release date.
Mm-hmm.
So who knows when Lynch is going to release it?
But see, I'll just, I'm not going to keep subscribing to watch reruns. I'll just download the torrents at that point. I don't want to watch it live on Showtime, which is why I'm subscribing. But after it ends, I can download a torrent at any time if I want to see an episode or keep them all or whatever.
Well, there you
Those
go.
are so available.
I, on the other hand, prefer not to break the law. So
Hey, copyright infringement is your best entertainment value, Cameron.
I'm just teasing you. But we don't know how this thing's going to end.
Right.
Okay, there's a couple theories I want to throw out to you that I've heard. One of them, if it happens, it will be one more thing on my list that I will start vomiting Garmonbozia uncontrollably on camera if this happens. One is that this thing all turns out to be a dream of somebody.
Because we live inside a dream.
Yeah, yada, yada, yada.
Yeah.
yeah, I mean that seems to be floating around too. Like,
Yeah.
it's all gonna be a dream. If that happens, listen, if Lynch was gonna pull a Mulholland Drive or Inland Empire where he was gonna flip the script and make everyone go, whoa, Betty is Diane or whatever like that, we would have done it a few episodes ago. I don't think he's gonna pull that rug out 2 episodes till the end.
Because that's such a cliche now. It's like, this person, it's like St. Elsewhere and, all that stuff. It's like, that's played out, somebody woke up in a shower or,
right.
Or the Bob Newhart thing. It's like, that's so old, that's no way to resolve it.
And I think
you could hint at it. You could get away with that probably, but nothing definite. You can have an episode where you say this is a dream, but you could leave it open to interpretation, I suppose.
Yeah, I don't want to see it's somebody's specific dream. I don't want to see that it's all in somebody's head,
I honestly would be really turned off by that because I would feel like this whole season was a waste of my time. And even though it's not, it would just feel like it was the culmination of it. Like, well, really, this thing was all a dream. So whatever.
Yeah, I want something more original because, like I said, that concept's already been played out many, many times.
So the last part is called "What is your name?" You guys heard that, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So I was joking with Mandy on one of these podcasts about saying, is it going to be where Cooper is back in mind and body and someone asks him, what is your name? And he says, Dougie Jones. Like he's just going to assume Dougie Jones' role and just stay with Janie and Sonny Jim and, live his life privately. Even though he knows who he is, he's just going to be that.
Well, it was pretty good sex there. He was with Janie.
But a listener or watcher, I should say, contacted me who wants to remain anonymous and said his theory. And I thought this was kind of interesting. I don't know how much I buy into this because it's not the ending I would want, but if it happened, I'm curious to see what people would think about it. And that is Janie and Dougie or Cooper, whoever, end up having a kid. And we flash forward and they have a little daughter and someone says to her, oh, you're so cute. What's your name? And she says, Laura. How do you feel about that? That Laura is reborn through Cooper.
Lynch likes his circular things, but I don't know. That feels a little strange. I
don't think it's going to happen.
No,
but I know the ending I want's not going to happen either. So it's all good.
Yeah.
What about you, Richard? How is this thing going to end?
You know what? I think that the last time we spoke, we were talking about what episode 8 might be about. It was, what do you think? Got a light. I think I said, that'll probably be Audrey because she used to be a secret smoker.
Yeah.
Couldn't have been wrong there, could I?
Yeah.
So I got no clue. I just.
Well, I don't think any of us expected to see an arm wrestling match in the last part. So,
No, but wasn't that brilliant?
I loved
positions.
It, yeah.
I thought it was great the fact that they cast Derek Mears, who played Jason in the Friday 13th reboot. Because if you want to show the doppelganger being, strong, he takes out Jason. It's fantastic.
Yeah, so, I couldn't get over. I've watched that scene quite a few times now, and the one thing I keep coming back to is how dirty his fingers are. His fingers are just filthy when you're looking at them. And it's like, ugh.
I don't think I noticed.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
You can barely tell the fingernails from the fingers. They're almost like gray. It's like a creepy dead man's hand.
Yeah.
So would you say that Bob is still with him, you think?
No, I don't.
Did they just bring him out to kind of give a stare down at Ray and then put him back in? Or did they... See, I thought that when he looked at the mirror in the jail and he says, are you still with me? I thought, well, they're doing that because at some point Bob won't be with him. And we'll see the difference. But the doppelganger seemed super strong, obviously, during that whole arm wrestling thing. So was Bob still with him or not? Do you think that?
No, I don't think so. I think Bob's gone out of him anyway. I think that was what the Woodsman did. Although when I watched episode 8 again, I had to turn the brightness up to 100 to actually see what was going on in that scene. But yeah, but no, I thought Bob had gone, and it was just a doppelganger, and he's just because he's a product of the lodge. He has these abilities anyway. I don't know quite what the difference is between him having Bob and not having Bob, but then you'd never expect to have any resolution on that. It's just bizarre. But as soon as he gets into that arm wrestling match, that's only going to end one way, don't you?
Right. I mean, you kind of knew who was going to win, right? It wasn't like the doppelganger Ray situation where we thought, well, he's just going to take out Ray, and then Ray shot him. But in this part, he did just take out Ray, but not before we got some more Philip Jeffries talk. So how?
Yeah, that's another thing. If that's what they want out of Cooper, then do they know that Bob's not in there anymore, or are the Woodsmen working for Philip Jeffries, or who knows?
Yeah, I don't know. How you weren't on the instant reaction. So overall, part 13, what did you think of it? Are you one of these people that were like me, was just like, it was a fantastic hour of television, thought it was great from start to finish, or are you in the other camp, which is they didn't much care for it?
No, I think I was with you on episode 12, and I'm with you on 13. To be honest, if anything, I felt a bit more like that about episode 12. Maybe because I had to wait a whole week to see it because I was away on holiday, so that I had so much more anticipation for that, having bated breath. 12, I found just a mostly great like you, but just left me a little bit flat, if I'm honest. But 13, no, fine all the way through. I loved it.
Sure. Hal, what about you?
Yeah, I think it's kind of a drag that we have to judge these as like episodes, because they're not. They are the different parts and stuff, and 12 coupled with 13 makes a lot more sense than So I like them better, like almost together. So because the Audrey stuff kind of resolves itself or continues, or you see it in a new light. That if you just watch 12, that Audrey scene seems to be a bit weird, and then when you see 13, it puts it more into perspective. So
it does put it into perspective, but I will say that the part 13 scene, I thought was just a better scene.
Right. I get that.
Yes, it obviously expands on 12, but if you were to, I almost would take part 13 scene over as the introduction to Audrey more than the 12 scene, just because it was 11 minutes of what is going on. Yeah, I understand, like, we'll find out, blah 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 blah, but I felt like it was just forced, and it was the I mean, like I said, I've watched it a few times, it's gotten better to me, but it still has those few lines in there where I'm like, okay, that just feels a little too much, a little over the top. And then 13, I thought, like, that is how you do it, that's the proper way of how to do what they were trying to do in 12.
But I must admit, on first airing in part 12, I did love the whole, somebody's on the line talking and you're only hearing their side of the conversation and you want to hear both parts. And her like frustration with that was hilarious, because I've been in that situation so many times.
True, but
I thought that part was hilarious.
But that was the end of the scene.
Yeah.
We had to sit through 7 minutes of before.
That's true.
As well.
Yeah.
But it makes you wonder, because you have Sarah talking about, this is a bad story, Hawk. You have Charlie telling Audrey, I'm going to end your story. I mean, I understand we're being told these stories, but what do you mean I'm going to end your story? What do you think he means by that?
Yeah, there's all kinds of speculation where she's still in a coma, or he's her shrink, or whatever. But yeah, it's very cryptic and thought provoking. So yeah, it's hard to say what that means.
Yeah, that line itself really stuck out. I mean, that's not something a psychiatrist says. It just, that struck me as being part of the otherworldly stuff. Or at least the still being in a coma, or
right.
She's certainly not in the real world.
It's like a thing like the Mystery Man in Lost Highway. It's almost like one of those guys who's telling you something that's in your subconscious, but Lynch manifests it in that abstract way into an actual physical entity.
And then Robert Blake is on trial for murder.
Yeah.
Do we think Richard Horn being there in the group, which surprised me.
Mhm.
I didn't expect to see him in that group. Is he looking at the doppelganger going, "Oh my God, that's my dad"?
Daddy.
Did you get that vibe?
Yeah, I do. I thought it was a nice way of him being introduced to that, just seeing him work his way through the crowd. That really worked for me, and that's the way he looked at the screen said to me that he'd seen this guy before. Whether he knows it's his dad or not, I don't know, but that's what I took from it.
Yeah, I couldn't tell whether he was just awestruck at the the cold shark eyes of the guy and the attitude, or whether it was a look of recognition. It's hard to say there too.
So here's my crazy theory on this. At the beginning of the series, you have Cooper talking to the Giant, and the Giant mentions Richard and Linda, and Cooper responds with, "I understand." Now, I always took that as, okay, at some point he's going to have to get out and he's going to have to encounter this Richard and Linda to understand what the Giant is talking about, if it is indeed a flash forward to what we saw. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But here's the crazy theory I have at the moment. If Richard is the product of the doppelganger and Audrey, if Linda, and this is an if Linda is the product of Annie and Cooper from their little moment at the end of season 2, if it truly is two birds with one stone, how would Cooper be able to tell the Giant, "I understand"? And my theory is, remember that strange moment in, was it part 3, where Cooper opens up the red drapes and sees the doppelganger driving down the road?
Mm-hmm.
Right? I'm almost wondering if Cooper, over the 25 years, saw his children growing up. Was removed from it, but got to see how life just moved on. And maybe that's why he's tearing up at Sunny Jim. Maybe he remembers, like, oh, my son was like this, as a, could have had opportunities or compassion with the other way. And, I don't know. Is
that poses an interesting question. Was Cooper just sitting in that chair for 25 years, or was he moving around in that space, opening up curtains and seeing?
Well, we know he was, because in Fire Walk With Me, he's walking around.
Yeah. But is he seeing visions of the outside world like he did in part 3, like you said? Is that a consistent thing? Is that an aspect of the waiting room there, is he can see into the outside world? Seems
like it.
Yeah, because like Mike, the one-armed man, is communicating to the outside world from the waiting room.
And why is Mike not leaving? Or I think we got hints of it that he left in the last part, because Ray says a prison guard gave him the ring, right? And when the ring got returned back to the lodge, we saw Mike put it back on the table. And I understand Mike's in the lodge and et cetera, but I also think that Mike putting the ring on the table says to me he's in control of the ring, and so therefore he could have popped into the prison and gave it to Ray. But we've never seen Mike outside of the Black Lodge in this new series.
It's funny too. We saw, they gave us lots of clues about the mechanics of how the ring works and how, and all that stuff. And all people could talk about was James's song. It's like,
well, I heard a great theory about that too. And this puts it into really interesting context. And of course, I don't know. If Donna did indeed die on the motorcycle crash with James,
that's what I was thinking too.
Then that song is a tribute, to her.
I had that same thought. It's like, why is there no Donna? Because James killed her on the motorcycle crash.
God, it's terrible.
That makes perfect sense, and that's why he's still haunted and sings that song and shit nightly at the Roadhouse, probably. Because he's haunted by the fact that he killed Donna.
Oh my Lord!
It's another tragic story in the
right, because Bobby and Shelley aren't together. We learned that Ed and Norma are no longer together.
Exactly.
Right, and there's no Donna here.
Why isn't James riding his bike anymore? Because he killed somebody. It changed his life.
Yeah, I read something yesterday about this, just about the tragic state of pretty much everybody's life in Twin Peaks.
Yeah.
I can't remember. I think it was one of the Facebook groups, not the one you're, not the one that they didn't want you to talk about, Obnoxious and Anonymous are. But no, it's on one of these things, and yeah, with the James's song was just kind of tragic. This middle-aged man still sitting there singing this song from Lost Youth.
Yeah.
Ed and Norma. Oh no, tragic.
I know. Totally.
I the same moment I got with Bobby and Shelley. You see them together, and you think, oh yeah, they're still together, and then you say, oh,
Yeah.
no, they're not.
I know they keep pulling the rug out.
Yeah,
but we did get
a corporate shill comes in.
Yeah. The corporate shield from 8 is enough. But I think we got another confirmation. We got a couple confirmations, in my opinion. This is a personal one though. Because Norma's franchising of the pies is not being followed correctly, then that explains why, Cooper / Dougie maybe doesn't wake up, because it's not truly Norma's pie that he was eating at the restaurant.
Right. It's not the pure Twin Peaks cherry pie. It's the watered down, cut corners version. So
you are subscribing to the theory then that entire scene is Lynch and Frost talking to ABC.
Well, I think I don't know that it's ABC specifically, but it's just that mindset of, Jay Leno used to have a joke where he's like, he talked about soft cookies, in the grocery store, and what that meeting must have been like. It's like, well, how do we get, soft, fresh cookies on the shelves? And some guy raises his hand at the corporate board meeting. Well, we can use only the freshest ingredients and have trucks running 24 hours a day to deliver them fresh to the grocery store. And the head guy goes, "You're fired. Get out of here. Call Dow Chemical, and put in the preservatives." So it's kind of like that, it's that mindset of like,
but
do it right or do it cheap and cheesy.
Although Norma's argument of it's always been the Double R Diner, it's not Norma's Double R Diner. I was thinking that's not that big of a switch. Like, just put your name on it. I don't know. It wasn't like they were calling it something just insane. It was Norma's Double R Diner. Like, all right. I mean, yes, I understand if you call it Agent Cooper's Twin Peaks, it's different. But, I had an ex-girlfriend that used to refer to Twin Peaks as Mr. Cooper's magical mystery tour or something like that. Like, that's how she referred to it as Twin Peaks.
Yeah, I didn't mind Norma's Double R. That kind of has a nice ring to it, actually. But if you're a purist, as Norma is, especially with her pie ingredients, that maybe she just... Listen, it's the Double R, man. Maybe she doesn't have that ego where she wants to put her name above it.
Well, maybe she, would have more business if she didn't take over an entire booth and made it her office. With all that,
maybe she should unbutton that one more button like Shelley,
She's got a phone on that table. She has like an old rotary phone on that table while she's doing all her paperwork.
So does Charlie. Charlie's got the old rotary phone. What's that about? What's with the old tech?
I don't know. Okay, now, how hardcore of a Twin Peaks fanatic are you? Are you one of these people that's saying that when Ed is sitting there at the end, that his reflection doesn't match his movements? Are you one of these people? I don't even. Are people watching this with a magnifying glass?
I have watched that scene over and over again, and I cannot see what people are seeing with that. I can't see it. Do I need a 90-inch screen TV? I don't see it. Yeah. Have you seen that? I've watched that over and over again. I can't see what people are seeing.
I can't see a thing. I think it's. I'm more worried about what's on that little piece of paper that he's burning.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that's about.
And he burned it while the credits were rolling, so most people didn't even see it. Some people were saying, "Oh, he's probably burning like he has a version of the coordinates or something like that." I'm like, okay, I don't know about that, but.
Well, somebody said it might be something that Bobby handed to him while they were talking in the diner, because Ed's a bookhouse boy. Then maybe there's some connection there, and maybe Bobby asked him to come along, and when they go to Jack Rabbit's palace, maybe he'll be there, or maybe he does a Hulk with a knife in the back, like when they went to One Eye Jacks. But I don't know. I thought maybe that would be pretty cool if it was that, but it seems too much to have him there doing that in the credits for it not to be relevant in some way.
And
Maybe it was something that he intended to give to Norma, but then right before Bobby got there, he had a conversation with her that made him second guess, because when Bobby sits down, he goes, there's nothing happening here. So maybe that conversation prior to that moment, he was going to make a move or hand her a note, and then it didn't work out. And so he went back and burned it.
He was going to suggest that she call it Norma's double R.
Yeah.
Another confirmation we got from this part is that, look, we've known about this for a while, but we definitely have confirmation now. We are not in the same timeline here at all.
No, they're jumping all around. Yeah.
Bobby talking about, I got this from my dad today.
Mm-hmm.
No, you didn't. And he did, maybe in that timeline. But the big one for me was Dougie coming in with the Mitchum brothers being gone, and Janie talking about how he had been gone for a couple days. And when in the previous part, we saw him playing catch with Sonny Jim.
Right, because when he comes in with the dancing line with the Nintendo music playing, that was obviously still partying from that night before. So when did he have time to play ball with Sonny Jim?
So here's my other crazy theory about this. I think that Lynch and Frost wrote this, and then in post they created the jump around. I don't think they wrote it this way. I would be surprised if they wrote, and maybe that's what took 4 years to write then if they did. But it seems like they created these timelines in post. Like, okay, let's take this scene and move it over here and have, Becky talk to Shelley in this part. And it seemed like it's been played around with.
So you think it's just playing with the nonlinear thing and it really has no more meaning than that? Or is it intended to show that we're having like simultaneous timelines going on?
I don't know, obviously.
Yeah.
Although I'm just saying, from a writer's perspective, in order not to go stir crazy, you'd have to write it where you have to write it almost in a linear fashion and then break it up later. Because otherwise you wouldn't know which element to put in what scene. You'd just be you would be touching all the elements.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm just curious how. Obviously everyone is, about how this whole thing is going to come together. And, is there going to be an aha moment where we're like, okay, this all makes sense in terms of just the timelines and everything's going to come together? Or are we going to be left at the end of the, 18 parts going, still trying to piece everything together? I mean, Inland Empire never came together.
True.
People are still trying to piece all those different timelines together. So, I don't know. I mean, I'm going off Kyle's words that, it's going to make sense. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of things that don't make sense. Obviously, it's David Lynch. But I'm just saying the overall structure, I'm hoping there is some sort of method to the madness. And it's not just Dwayne Dunham and David Lynch just cutting up scenes and let's throw this in part 8 and let's throw this in part 7.
Yeah, I don't want to be scratching my head at the end like I was at Inland Empire. I hope there's a little bit more clarity than that.
Yeah, I guess we'll see. I mean, we're gonna know in six weeks, right? So, or less than that.
Less than that, yeah. 14, 15, 16, 17, 4 weeks.
Now, I've heard a rumor. Tell me if you've heard this or not. I hope I'm right, or I hope it is right, that part 17 and 18 together will be over 3 hours.
That'd be great.
I hope it is.
I do too.
That would be awesome.
that would be the best treat, where you expect a 2 hour, but it's actually 2 parts, but they're each 90 minutes.
Well, that's what I was hoping when I heard that they were gonna be, kind of creating the show in editing. I always hoped that there would be one episode that'd be 35 minutes and another episode would be 90 minutes, and just fluctuate the times. But we're pretty much at the hour mark every part, some shorter, some more,
Mm-hmm.
But overall, I mean I've been happy with the parts. I think that sometimes when there's been an hour where maybe not a lot has happened in terms of overall story, character wise, sure, but overall story, no, I almost wish that they had just put 2 parts together for that, but they were trying to make it last all summer. So
Yeah.
Because I mean, there was a few parts where I was like, oh, that, that one with this one, the next one should have been together as one thing. So
Yeah, I could have taken a 2-hour block and then a week off, and to put them together that way. That wouldn't have bothered me at all.
that actually would have been pretty smart.
Yeah.
To do 2, and then every 2 weeks we got another feature film of Twin Peaks.
Right.
Because people are spending the week in between analyzing, every aspect of this thing, frame by frame. So
right.
Which is pretty wild.
But we knew we would. That's part of the fun. They knew we would. That's part of the fun.
Oh yeah, and they seem to be several steps ahead of everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Which is amazing because this isn't like you said, it's not a TV show where they're seeing what people are saying online and then they're changing things up to be ahead of people. They had to think about this while they were crafting the screenplay. Like, okay, people are going to think this is going to happen, so we're going to have them arm wrestle. Okay. And I'm trying to figure out when the doppelganger's coming up the elevator, why on earth is Ray standing there with a gun? The last time he shot him, like a horde of woodsmen came out of nowhere. Does he want that to happen?
Ray doesn't learn his lesson.
No, and what? Listen, if I was Ray and this arm wrestling match was going to go down, I would have been booking for that elevator so fast. The fact that he's standing there and he's like, come on, boss, get him. I'm like, this guy is the product of evil. You know who he is because you say you're on to him and what he's about and stuff like that. And you saw this creature come out of him. What makes you think he's not going to be able to be immortal?
Right. The minute
just a quiet word in Renzo's ear before this thing. Yeah, look, I have shot this guy twice in the chest, and he's still alive. Maybe an arm wrestle isn't the best idea. Maybe we just kill him. There's lots of us, lots of bullets. Let's do this in a Seth Green kind of Austin Powers way. Let's not piss around and arm wrestle. Let's just kill him.
Right. Might have been a better plan.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So what did you okay, so he does plug Ray like we thought he was going to do at the beginning of part 8. But I thought it was super cool how like Ray was wearing the ring and then Ray was in the lodge. I made the joke about who's going to mop up the blood, in the Black Lodge. And, of course, people are saying to me, the blood's going to seep into the floor and the tree is going to eat it. Is the Garmonbosia. I'm like, okay, I'm just making a joke here, people. But listen, I've always loved Fire Walk With Me, but I've always had, little problems here and there with it, just because Lynch was so rushed during the production that little things were gonna, slip. And he isn't one for, making sure you dot all the I's and cross all the T's in terms of continuity. and Frost, maybe if Frost had been working with him on the script instead of Bob Ingalls, that kind of stuff would have been maybe smoothed over a little bit more. That being said, I do think that this series, even if you think Fire Walk With Me is a great masterpiece, like a lot of people do think, or like me, who thinks it's a very, very good to great film at times, I think that this new series has made Fire Walk With Me better. Like, incredibly better. Because Fire Walk With Me, for the longest time, was always the final thing we got in Twin Peaks canon. So even though if you thought it was great, it's still like, oh, that's it. Okay, cool. I mean, it's nice, it's great, but that's it. Well, now we got this whole 18-hour thing that puts Fire Walk With Me not just as like, oh, that's the last word. It's now one more piece of this larger canon here, right?
Yeah.
Like,
it works better as a bridge between the original and the new series. Yeah.
I mean, I know there's gonna be people in the comments saying, you didn't know this. Listen, I for years, and not that I even really thought about it much, but if you were to ask me even 5 years ago, like explain the Owl Cave ring to, I would have been like, well, there's this and that, and but ultimately I don't really know, because it was just kind of this new thing being thrown at us in this movie without a lot of explanation. It just Teresa had it in the picture, and then Cooper's saying, don't take the ring. And then Laura takes the ring and, but obviously, I mean, when Ray's wearing the ring or Dougie's wearing the ring and then he gets, pulled back into the lodge and Ray's wearing the ring and then he's in the lodge and stuff. It now, like, to me says, okay, well, that explains why Laura's spirit is in the lodge, because she was wearing the ring when she died.
Well, I was reading John Thorne's book with the wrapped in plastic essays that he collected recently. And there was some quotes that he had in there from Robert Engels saying that that in his mind, the ring is both good and bad, depending on the intent of the person who has it. And so it can be bad if that's the intention, or it can be good, as when Laura takes the ring and puts it on herself, then that gives her the power to defeat Bob. So that was kind of interesting, where it depends on the intent of the person that possesses it, whether it works good or evil. And they said that's one of the reasons why they deleted the scene with the nurse taking it at the end, because it had those nefarious implications, and they cut that out to sort of make it more ambiguous, to where whoever has it kind of wields power for good or bad.
They cut that scene out because it didn't fit into the movie.
Right.
Like Hal, sorry, what you just said there, Hal, is kind of how I feel about how I've always felt about the Red Room. And I don't know, people always referred to that place as being the Black Lodge. But the way I looked at it was because the floor, just because of the way the floor was, I always thought that was whatever lodge your intention made it. If you went in there afraid, then you were in the Black Lodge. If you went in there out of love, then you were in the White.
Right, and that's why they call it the waiting room. It's kind of in between place. Yeah.
So do you believe that where the giant is the White Lodge? I mean, that seems to be the general consensus out there, but I don't think we have a definite thing about it.
Yeah, it could be. I mean, if the Red Room is just the waiting room, and your intention decides where you go from there, then it's possible that's the White Lodge, and it's possible we've never actually seen the Black Lodge.
Right.
But that was just always my interpretation of it, that the floor is black and white, so it depends how you go in there as to what you get. And sometimes the dwarf, sometimes he was friendly, sometimes he wasn't. Likewise, it depended what you went in there with.
Although in the screenplay to Fire Walk with Me, when they are in there, it does say interior Black Lodge.
Right.
But I mean, then again, the screenplay also said in interior, Roadhouse, and people started yelling at me that it was the Bang Bang Bar. So, yeah, I mean, until we actually see a White Lodge, we have no real context as to what, we can't really say.
Until we see in the contents of David Lynch's head, we probably will never know.
Right. I mean, I don't know. I mean,
I did think it was interesting the floor with with what looks like Jupiter, where the giant was. There was some article I was reading where it was that the floor looked like Jupiter, and then in another place there's a model of Saturn, and maybe it was something like when Jupiter and Saturn meet, they will receive you. That thing.
Well, that makes sense.
But I can't remember which one was which.
Listen, I'm just happy. Floor. I'm just happy the giant is not on a planet of cream corn. That's just happy that
we still have five episodes to go.
That is true.
People see creamed corn everywhere. It's amazing. There was a picture of Sarah Palmer's living room.
She's got it.
Is that cream corn?
Yes.
That looked like
where's Wally? Where's the cream corn in every scene?
That looked like mac and cheese to me. I didn't see cream corn there. I think
I did see was a very, very full ashtray, or two very full ashtrays in that house. If she's getting up to go to the kitchen, and take those and empty them. It would be easier.
Sarah definitely likes her smokes.
Yeah.
See, why you thought Audrey was going to say "get a light"? I thought it was going to be Sarah saying "get a light."
Well, I love them Fire Walk with Me every time, even in the missing pieces. Anytime Leland says something to Laura and Laura walks out of the room, or Leland walks out of the room, every scene ends with the camera moving in towards Sarah, and she picks up a cigarette and lights it. It's like it almost was like Lynch saying, "Okay, we're gonna end every scene, Sarah, with you lighting a cigarette." So I always have that moment to cut to. All right. I'm sure we'll get back to what we thought about the previous episodes before.
And I bring something up about episode 12, actually. Something I watched your show last week. I think it was the Thought of the Day one. And you mentioned somewhere about Shelley's good parenting. How she got Becky to come and give her some pie and stuff like that, being the wonderful mother. That phone call when she rings her in the middle of the diner, I just took that a completely different way. I thought like Shelley just wasn't interested at the start. Yeah. Oh, that's great, Becky. Hungry customers here. Can you please get stuff? And then she just has a change of heart and says, "Oh, yeah, come down here and do this." Like she caught herself in the middle of being a bad parent, just like she was in the other episode where she runs out to meet Red, which I thought was hilarious, by the way. This in the middle of this family heart to heart. Oh, it's Red. run out and meet him. But then it's like that phone call was just a continuation of it, which is just I've got hungry customers here, love. What do you want? And then all of a sudden it's I suppose I'd better invite you over and give you some pie.
I wonder if that's at the heart of why her and Bobby aren't together, because it seems like Bobby is really a caring kind of father, and maybe he didn't see that in Shelley, and maybe that was, even though he loved her, maybe that's part of why they had conflict.
Maybe she is just a bit shallow.
Yeah.
There's a reason why Bobby and Shelley aren't together, and my bet is Bobby is an adult now and no longer the bad boy, and that's who Shelley fell in love with.
Shelley digs her bad boys. You're right. Yeah, Leo, Bobby, and now Red, and Bobby's kind of a good guy now.
Like, I don't know. Would Shelley had even gone out with Bobby if she wasn't married to Leo? Right? I mean, like if Shelley was just a single woman back in the when the original show came out, and Bobby's a high school student and he's flirting with her, does Shelley go off with Bobby and date him and they're happy? Or is Shelley attracted to Bobby because she sees him as an escape from her horrible marriage? Was she just using Bobby in a way? And then when things got real, when they had to take care of Leo with the insurance and and she had to stay home, and so it brought their relationship like more to like a day-to-day real like relationship. And that's when they started not getting along. And that's when Bobby like goes to the Great Northern, tries to work with Ben Horn, even flirts with Audrey at one point, because he can't handle the day-to-day life with Shelley. So I don't know. I'm curious if even Shelley and Bobby would have even been together if she had never married Leo. I always thought that they were a great couple together, but now looking at her, the way she's treating him and the way she's going about her life, especially when her daughters, almost got arrested for doing, shooting a door and making a big scene where the whole town would know what happened, right?
Yeah. I don't get the vibe of, Shelley and Bobby are meant to be like you do with Big Ed and Norma, it's just sort of, it's not the same thing where Big Ed and Norma seem like they should be together.
Do you think Ed and Nadine are still together? I mean, he's wearing a wedding ring, right?
I think they're probably maybe separated, kind of like Ben and his wife, they're like just separated, living separately.
Right.
Because Nadine seems pretty fixated with Dr. Jacoby now.
And he her.
Yeah.
Which is interesting because what wasn't it in season 2 where like Dr. Jacoby took Nadine to high school and enrolled her in high school?
That's right. He's trying to unravel her problems. It's kind of like Ben with the Civil War.
Exactly.
There's some treatment notes in Mark Frost's book as well from Dr. Jacoby's session with Nadine. I can't remember exactly what it says, but he doesn't speak very highly of her, or Ed for that matter. He thinks Ed's just a square-jawed, like everyday bloke. Yeah. And he does talk about Nadine. He thinks she's I think he uses some colorful language about her, but he seems to think she's just messed up in the head. So that didn't fit quite with how he greeted her today. But I suppose when you discover you've got a big fan like that, you'd alter your perceptions, wouldn't you?
Right. Yeah, she's his number one fan, so his ego got a
Well-
boost. It's like, that's always attractive.
I mean, how many
Yeah.
shovels has he sold? I mean, he only bought 5, right? So obviously he's not expecting to sell out really fast.
Well, now, wait a minute.
I-
That was probably an additional shipment when we first saw it, because the guy goes, "What are you doing with these?" So that might have not been the first shipment.
Hmm. Well, probably not, but I'm saying he didn't order like 50 of them.
No.
I mean, I want to know how much money he's making off those shovels, to be honest, because I don't know how cheap shovels are in the US, but then, $29.95. That seems
Doesn't seem like a big profit margin there.
not much of a markup, plus the gold paint and his time and effort.
Well, he's living in a trailer, so
yeah, there is that.
he probably doesn't have a lot of expenses, but he has, awesome internet apparently so, to broadcast through all those mountains and trees. Yeah. Yeah. Some people have said with his podcast radio show, I almost wonder if a woodsman isn't going to kill him and over the podcast do that drink full over Dr. Amp's show and just, make the whole town of Twin Peaks go crazy even more than it is.
As long as they light the lamp of liberty first, then that'll be all right.
So why do you think that girl in the car is throwing up everywhere? Is it a cause of the drugs in the town, or do you think if it's a different timeline that maybe the doppelganger's already in town and she's encountered him and so she's kind of like getting sick?
Yeah, or it's just a Lynchian weirdness, just to throw that weird transition from we're in the diner and now we're into this chaos. I mean, it may mean nothing.
But we already had a Lynch weird thing with the little boy and his dad dressed exactly alike, and he's staring down Bobby, and then we go from that to a girl, or throwing up in the car. It almost seemed like there needs to be something having to do with it, or it's almost one too many, one on top of each other.
Yeah. I mean, I want all these things answered, but we've only got 5 hours to go, so I don't know if
I don't need everything like answered per se. I just want to feel like there's a template there for me to be able to connect the dots myself. I don't want it to just be like a free for all where I want it to be like, okay, well, the town of Twin Peaks has been like this because, the planets or the Black Lodge, blah, blah, when the doppelganger got out, blah, blah, blah. Okay, that's all I need to know.
Yeah.
Because then I can figure it all out myself. I don't need to say, well, see, this happened because this happened. I don't need that. I just want to be able to feel like, okay, there is an actual template laid out and I can figure it out. I don't want to be arguing with people like, well, this happened because this happened. I mean, I want it to be kind of like where we can discuss things within the context of knowing what was real and what wasn't real.
Yeah, a certain number of loose ends are fine by me, and I like things to be open to interpretation at the end. I don't want necessarily everything closed off. There's some things that I'd like to have closure on, but
well, it's like take the original series of Twin Peaks. Take even Fire Walk with Me. There's a lot of strange surrealistic things in there, right? And not everything you understand, but even if you don't intellectually understand it, you feel like it makes sense given the context of what we have, right? And that's just what I want with this, though. I just want ultimately to feel like it's like even if it doesn't make sense, I want it to feel like it makes sense and not just feel like, well, they threw this just weird thing in there just to be weird, I mean, I feel like in Twin Peaks, the series, for as weird and as outlandish it is, I at the end of the day, I don't think there's a lot of questions at the end of that series. I think it's pretty much all laid out for you. I mean, maybe if you're not a viewer that pays a lot of attention, maybe it is confusing. I don't know. But for me, it seemed pretty obvious everything that was happening. And even Fire Walk with Me, as strange as it is. And there's like, I have no idea why Teresa Banks has the ring. And where did she go? I mean, did she die wearing the ring, or was the ring removed from her before? I don't know. We've never seen her since. And I don't believe Pamela Gidley's in this new series, right? I don't think she's
Right.
on the cast list. So, I mean, there's a lot of questions having to do with her. So, I mean, I don't understand everything having to do, but I understand the overall thing of, well, she was this first victim, and then, you know, that type of thing. But it also makes me wonder, what was Bob doing in Leland for 40 years if he hadn't killed anyone before? How eager for fun was he? He obviously wasn't doing much, as far as we know.
Yeah, that is strange that if Bob inhabited him when he was a boy at Pearl Lakes, what took so long to kill Teresa Banks?
Well, it seems like from Fire Walk with Me, he only killed Teresa Banks because of her association with Laura.
Yeah.
It was, I mean, it may have been a little bit of the blackmail thing, but I think it seemed more after he found out that Laura was with Teresa, that they knew each other, and he was like, you know, cutting off the, you know, any sort of way of detecting that, you know, he knew them both, basically. So yeah, I don't know. It's an interesting question.
Yeah,
I read some theory somewhere about how Bob, when he inhabits someone, only accentuates their own existing characteristics, and if Leland wasn't kind of bent that way, Leland was just a dominating father figure more than anything else, and that Bob just accentuated that, and it was.
And then over the course of a lifetime, it got more intense.
Yeah. And that why when he took over Cooper, obviously, you know, Cooper was a very strong personality, and this is only the doppelganger side of him, which is, you know, I guess much more intense and distilled. And Bob couldn't really do much with that. I think Bob wasn't in control. I think I read something that Bob loves fun and loves the chaos of it, but doppelganger Cooper is just more about order and organization and getting stuff done. I think Bob was kind of taking a back seat in Cooper.
That's interesting that you say that, because I almost think almost the opposite. It seemed like he was more free in the doppelganger. He didn't have to stay in this seemingly loveless marriage working with Ben Horn and all this stuff. He was able to tour the country, get out of the America's own mansions. It almost was like Bob Run Wild, you know?
That's a point.
I mean, but again, I mean, I remember at the beginning of the series how people were arguing whether, oh, you know, it's the doppelganger only. Bob's not with him anymore. And I'm like, of course Bob's with him. The last thing we see was Bob in the mirror.
Yeah.
Right.
They're not going to introduce this new series with Bob not in him.
Right. Why wouldn't they explore that huge cliffhanger that we've all been waiting for 25 years for?
Exactly. So one thing people can discuss probably after the show is over is who was in control more. You know, I almost think it was the doppelganger with Bob, you know, working in tandem. Like he was just there as like along for the ride as a backup, you know? But when Cooper gets out of that car in part one with the long hair, I mean, it seemed obvious right from the start. Like, this is Bob. I mean, they can't cast Frank Silva. He's no longer with us. So here is Kyle MacLachlan playing Frank Silva, Bob, you know? And just the way he just took control of that scene. Mandy was saying in the last part that she hopes we go back to that shack and find out a little bit more about that weird Texas Chainsaw Massacre family living in there.
Beulah.
Well, that, and there's also there's kind of a giant and a little man in there too, you know? So,
yeah, right.
So I don't know. I mean, I doubt we'll do that, but maybe. Do you think that because Mandy was saying that where Big Ed was, that his gas farm, that's not the same location that his original gas farm was at. But his original gas farm looked like the convenience store they used for part 8 when the woodsmen were going in and out of that place. So I don't know. I mean, it's interesting that they would change the location of Big Ed's gas farm when the location is still there.
Right.
I don't know. But, I mean, what do you think of this whole woodsman thing? Are you a fan of this? And we don't know much about them, but are you a fan of this new subplot? I mean, we've never heard about them before. Yes, I mean, you could say the Jurgen Prochnow thing and Fire Walk with Me, but we always assumed that was the log lady's husband, if anything, right? I mean, we didn't think there was like a whole massive sports team of woodsmen running around, and they're literally running around. There's tall ones, skinny ones, pudgy ones, older ones.
I'm kind of a fan of the theory that they were the woodsmen that is referenced in Mark Frost's book, where there was a fire in like 1902 or whatever, and on some Indian, on some Native American sacred ground, and there was eight died, and there was 8 woodsmen, and maybe they're those spirits, or who knows. But I kind of like that theory, because why would they be these charred woodsmen if that wasn't tied into this fire that they reference in Mark Frost's book?
Right. So, Richard, I have to ask you, what did you think of part 8?
I loved it. It took me a while to fully digest what I thought. I think I said to you at the time, because I needed more time I had to watch it at least twice before I even had an opinion. The first time was like, I think I said to you guys last time about like reading a poem. The first time you read it, you just kind of take it in and you don't have an opinion. You just soak it up. And then I watched it again. And I think people go on about how there was a lot of talk at the time about how long it went on for, this long nuclear bomb scene and stuff like that. And the second time I watched it, I realized that that's not that long at all. It just kind of feels very involved when you're watching it. I thought it was just a fantastic hour, just a real, like, going back to Eraserhead, going back to the first little inklings of Lynch. We're going to just go full on, absolute nuts out, just visualism here, and it was lovely. I don't know who the people were at the end. There's a lot of talk. Is it Sarah Palmer? I don't think so, but I don't know.
Some people think that because when she's in the convenience store, she's saying something happened to me. Something happened to me.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of things have happened to Sarah.
Yeah, I just took that as being, something happened to me. My daughter was raped and killed by my husband. That's enough.
Himself, who drugged me at the same time. Yeah.
Exactly.
He did my niece as well while he was at it. Yeah.
Right.
Remember how he attacked and killed several women, including Laura's cousin, and then the whole town had a memorial lunch for him.
Right. Well, that's what you do in Twin Peaks. Good old Layla.
And I can't remember what house did they have that in? Was that in Sarah's house? Were they eating lunch in the room that Madeline just died in 2 days earlier?
Well, I think they were. Yeah, I think so. I think they were just. I don't think it was really as a memorial to Leland, as more of a comfort to Sarah. Hopefully,
you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I know.
No, that was 3 days later, and it took him a couple of days to catch him.
Sarah
at least a week? Come on, that's enough time. Sure.
Was Sarah and Audrey really sitting on the same couch that Madeline was like, no, like just 4 days earlier?
It's still bloodstained.
Oh my Lord! Yeah,
having deviled eggs on the bloodstained couch.
What's the state on the couch?
With
too soon, Audrey, too soon.
With Nadine saying, can you see my underwear and my shoes? And that's when we get introduced to like the mayor's feud that would kind of take over part of season 2.
Right.
Oh my Lord. Yes,
I have. And Louis Armstrong singing "What a Wonderful World."
Hey, I still have not forgiven the people on Twitter who've contacted me saying they feel like Lana is the millionaire in New York City.
Oh no. We don't need Lana Milford, no. Not at this late hour.
No. I'll take Mark Frost's explanation that she just had it on her toes into the wind after not marrying Dwayne.
But didn't she have a love affair with Donald Trump in the book? I think she did.
Oh, yeah, that is in the book, isn't it? Yeah, that's the New York billionaire. Maybe Donald Trump's the billionaire.
All right, let me throw this out to you. Just say yay or nay. When Albert and Gordon were talking to Tammy about the Blue Rose case, and they name dropped Philip Jeffries and Chet Desmond and Cooper. And I loved the fact that when Diane came in, this is the Mark Frost influence, where they brought up the fact that Diane was aware of the Blue Rose cases because obviously she worked with Cooper. Because I remember thinking, well, when they were bringing up the Blue Rose team, I was like, well, Diane knows about it because in Fire Walk with Me, he says this is one of Cole's Blue Rose cases. So I was happy about that. I guess my question to you is, they did not say Wyndham Earle's name. And Wyndham Earle was obviously way into this Black Lodge stuff. Are we going to get a name drop, or will we get something more with Wyndham Earle in these last episodes? Or do you think it's just never going to come up?
Seems like a glaring omission not to even name drop him, especially that Kenneth Welsh is doing the UK Twin Peaks Fest, so he's still part of the family. You know, it's not like he's Lara Flynn Boyle, where she seems kind of out of the picture, or Michael J. Anderson.
But Lara Flynn Boyle's picture was in the last episode.
Right. That was definitely a Donna tribute.
Did they credit her in the credit? I didn't see if they did or not.
I don't think so. No.
Okay.
She got appearance money.
Well, it is out of focus, but yeah, you can definitely see it, you know. And I was glad for that continuity. They had that picture there. I'm curious.
I'm surprised when they talked about Project Blue Book, because he worked on Project Blue Book. They loaned him to the Air Force to work on it, so I'm surprised they didn't mention him at all.
I've heard some people say, well, you know, there's bonsai tree in New York and that type of thing. But remember, he only sent the bonsai tree to Harry to trick Harry that it was from Josie. It wasn't like Wyndham Earle collected bonsai trees.
Yeah.
You know, so if anything, it seems more like it could it be Judy is the millionaire in New York, because if she truly is Josie's sister, maybe that's why there's a bonsai tree there. You know, we don't know. But I mean, at the start of the series, I was almost convinced, because Bob ripped out Earl's soul, or apparently, you know, at the end of season 2, that I assumed that after he did that, that is when the doppelganger Cooper showed up. So I always thought that Bob taking Earl's soul and then jumping into the doppelganger, that the doppelganger was one of 3. Doppelganger, Bob, and had aspects of Earl in him. Because when he's in Daria's motel room, he's got that suitcase thing with the computer inside. So it's almost like he went to Earl's cabin and cleaned up before encountering Major Briggs and taking off. I don't know.
Yeah, that is the same Wyndham Earle suitcase thing, isn't it?
It sure seems like it.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I hope there's something. I mean, I can understand if there's not, but it
seems like they would have dropped his name by now, though. I mean, because all the Philip Jeffries references that you didn't think, you know, he was going to appear because Bowie's death, but they've really integrated him into the storyline. Why not Wyndham Earle if you?
But there's glaring omissions. There's no mention of Earl. However, any person in the Horn family, nobody's mentioning Audrey. When Audrey's seen, she's not mentioning anybody of her family.
Nobody's mentioning Donna either.
Exactly. Like, to not say something is almost screaming it, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's I'm curious. Well, speaking of that, I have to throw this out here. So TV Guide today released an article, Heather Graham, on what she thinks happened to her missing Twin Peaks character. And she says,
your heart had to start pounding at that headline, Cameron.
Yeah, and then I read the article. I don't think she remembers. I think she did too many controlled substances on Boogie Nights or something, because I don't think she remembers Twin Peaks very much. She says, it seems like something bad happened to her because I'm not in this new series. So I don't know. Do you know? And then she continues, I guess she was taken away to the room, right? You know, that red room where they talked backwards, all cool. There you go. There's her quote. Wow. Thank you, Heather Graham, for that lovely statement.
What an eloquent summarization.
She obviously has never like watched the show. I think she did it as a job, did her scenes. I don't know if she watched it, or she hasn't probably revisited it in 28 years. So,
and maybe there's some sour grapes. So why promote it if she's not in it? You know, why didn't she just dismiss it? You know, but kind of leave the door open in case they ever need her.
But like we were talking about these other omissions, Colin McLaughlin on Twitter said, "We will find out how Annie is."
He did say that, didn't he?
He did.
When people ask him specifically, how's Annie? He's like, we'll find out.
We will find out. So hopefully this whole series isn't taking place in Annie's head while she's in the hospital.
but maybe we'll find out that we won't find out. And that's what he meant by we'll find out. We'll find out that we won't find out.
Really? How?
I don't know. They did sign the agreement not to give anything away. So maybe that was just his way of deflecting the question.
See, this I really want Richard. If Richard is Audrey and Cooper's child, then I really want Lena to be Annie and Cooper's, because they've already brought. Listen, Annie Blackburn, more than Wyndham Earl, has already been name dropped in this new series.
True.
So, I'm still hoping, and of course they're not going to go here, but I'm still hoping that if they bring in Bobby to tell him about Laura's new diary entries, that he goes, Annie, that's Norma's sister. She won Miss Twin Peaks that year. And then he goes to the diner and tells Norma, and Norma's like, "Oh, my sister." I mean, one of the cool things about the secret history of Twin Peaks was the fact that they don't mention Annie Blackburn at all in that book.
Right.
So the idea was that book had been constructed as a way of protecting Annie's whereabouts so that the doppelganger couldn't find her. So I don't know. I mean, they're mentioning Philip Jeffries up, down, and everywhere in this new series, more than I ever thought that they would. I thought they would mention Philip Jeffries the way they dropped Chet Desmond's name. Just this. What Oh, remember Philip Jeffries? Oh yeah, and then okay, we have a context. But I mean, Philip Jeffries, even off screen, has more of a role in this new series than Audrey Horne does.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, listen, are we gonna get Earl and are we gonna get Annie at any time in this series? That's all I'm asking.
Yeah, I mean that would it would be nice if they've saved these surprises for us. Have taken their names off the cast roster that they announced before the show started. It'd be nice if they've planned this little extra surprise for us. Maybe a David Bowie cameo. I'm still holding out hope for that.
Yeah,
that'd be great. That'd be fantastic.
I obviously don't think Kenneth Welsh is going to show back up as Wyndham Earl. I don't think it's going to happen. But I'm curious if the doppelganger doesn't say something like, I have Earl inside me, or something, just something. Because the whole second half of season 2 revolves around Wyndham Earl trying to find his queen. And much like the woodsman saying that poem over and over and over again, and making the young girl open her mouth for the frog moth or whatever you want to call it, the locust, to climb into her mouth. It's like when Wyndham Earl was taking Annie to the Black Lodge and he started saying that sinister, strange, weird poem, and all of a sudden that just froze her in the trees. And it's almost like there are certain things you can say that can put a spell over people. Seems to help with the mythology of what the Black Lodge is. I just don't want the Black Lodge to just be a room with drapes and an alcove ring. I would like to have it incorporate some of the other elements too into it as well.
Right, and like stuff like that hooded figure that we see in season 2 when Major Briggs disappears. They never went back to that. And the Doug Puzz and all that stuff.
Well, that's what originally. That's what I thought the woodsmen were. I thought they were the Dugpas coming out of. But everyone's like, no, those were sorcerers. They weren't woodsmen. Okay. These, these are the same people who come after me, Hal, with a pitchfork because I say that Chantel eats chips instead of Cheetos. And I'm like, you buy Cheetos in the chips aisle. It's all one and the same. It's like the giant says, or 7 question marks, I should say. So, Richard, I have to ask you this: what'd you think of Laura Palmer showing up in a big giant ball and being sent to Earth like Superman?
Like you, I hope she's going to turn up at some point beyond at the start. When I saw that, I just read that as being a moment out of time. And it didn't matter when it was happening, but she was being sent down there. Because if you watch the ball when it goes through the magic ear horn or whatever it is and heads off, it's heading towards Washington State on the map. It's not heading towards Arizona or New Mexico or wherever. So that's where I thought she was just being sent down there as kind of a counteraction to them seeing Bob in his little bubble. But I always thought that, like you, I didn't want her to be some savior or be some supernatural character. I like the fact that she was just going to be born in human form for whatever reason. But it was good to see it. I love the imagery of it.
I always thought the horn that they send her through looked like one of those Dr. Seuss contraptions.
Yeah,
doesn't it?
My wife, somebody just out of shot winding it.
Yeah.
When my wife saw that, she thought that the frog moth was Laura climbing into Sarah and waiting to, be impregnated to be born. I was like, really? I don't think Lynch is going to turn Laura into a frog moth.
Yeah.
See, I think the little girl may be the person that Albert refers to that coined the blue rose. She may be the first blue rose case because that thing crawled into her mouth that started this whole thing that we now know as blue rose cases.
Yeah, because a lot of people I've heard complaints of people saying, well, part 8 doesn't have anything to do with the rest of the series. It's just kind of this own isolated episode. And I'm like, well, 1, we don't know that. Right. And 2, even if it was an isolated episode, it's it's kind of like a prequel to the whole thing. Right. Does it have to tie in everything? It would be nice if there were elements that blended in and we got more of whatever later on in the series. But if not, it just serves as like novels do this all the time, where you get the chapter 12 and then you get the chapter that tells you before everything happened, and then we go back to the main storyline.
I think it would work better as if they didn't have the frog moth sequence there. But if it was just the atom bomb and the birth of Bob and the experiment and all that stuff, that would work perfectly as just a standalone. We don't need to reference that back again. But with the God of Light guy and the young couple, it seems like they have to revisit that, or else it does seem that it's pointless.
Well, as of right now, I almost think part 8 would have been amazing as episode 18.
Yeah. Well, maybe they'll do another sequence in 17 and 18 that will back to that. Imagine
that the end of part 18 is like a woodsman walking off into the darkness and you hear the horse and then the credits roll and that's it. You would have been like speechless.
Yeah.
Like, what the hell? What the hell?
What the hell?
Oh yeah. There's a website called Racked. RACKED, so you know that they're hardcore when it comes to Twin Peaks coverage. And they wrote an article called Laura Dern's outfits are the best part of the Twin Peaks reboot. So they're really analyzing the series. Which is really funny because there's other websites saying that, Diane is a terrible stereotype for taking, the Asian culture and all that. It's people are just outrageous.
Yeah, I think that's one of the most interesting things about this new series is just people's reactions to it are fascinating,
Yeah.
I mean, it runs the full spectrum of, I hate it, I love it, You know, and the things that people hate about it and the things that people love about it it's just fascinating. You know, when people get so upset about James in the song, you know, and other people are just like, that made me cry, you know, it's really interesting.
Yeah. Whereas like Inland Empire, you just heard an entire audience crying inside in the theater.
Yeah. Yeah.
I tease. I know you guys love Inland Empire. If anything, this new series has made me want to go back and watch Inland Empire for like the 30th attempt.
Including the other things that happened in one.
No, I've never watched that. Listen. I'm a David Lynch completist, and I can't even get through it.
I know. I haven't seen that part either.
Yeah, one of these days I'll do. Like I'm usually against these kind of things, but Inland Empire needs the Cameron 75-minute fan cut.
Yeah, and I sat through all the episodes of Rabbits from the David Lynch website. So I mean, I usually watch everything, but yeah, Inland Empire still is a struggle for me.
Yeah, and it's weird because if you think about it, there are elements of Inland Empire in this new show in terms of, you know, bouncing around and also the idea that Lynch wrote every scene just before he shot, right? Obviously, Lynch and Frost wrote the series before, but there were whole scenes that Lynch would throw out before they started shooting. Case in point, the young man in the car with Harry Dean Stanton. There was a whole different dialogue scene they were supposed to say, and Lynch gave him new dialogue that morning.
Yeah.
And Harry Dean Stanton told the actor, well, that's just Lynch, you know? So I mean, things are constantly being changed all the time. Even Pete Martell's famous line in the pilot wasn't even in the script. She's dead wrapped in plastic. Wasn't even there. I mean, Lynch told him, just change the lines. Why don't you say this? And then it becomes immortal. You know, that line.
Iconic.
I mean, not immortal. What the hell am I thinking?
Both.
Yeah. I mean, we haven't even gotten a reference to Pete in this series, have we? No. It's kind of strange to do something in the Twin Peaks world and not have Jack Nance in there somewhere. I mean, they brought Major Briggs back.
Yeah, and especially with all of his callbacks to his other works, you think he would have found some way to slip Jack Nance in there somehow.
We still got time.
Yeah.
You know, I think I think I would be surprised if there isn't a Pete reference, even if it was like, I don't know, even in the Double R Diner, there could have been a picture of Jack Nance saying, you know, chess champion, you know, 1993 or something.
Or they could even say, you know, he got murdered in a donut shop because he did in real life, which would tie in perfectly.
I mean, listen, I don't think any Twin Peaks fan expected to think that if Major Briggs was going to be brought back into the series, that he would be a decomposing headless corpse. So,
yeah.
I mean, they're definitely surprising us how they're bringing back the
floating head in space.
Yeah, saying Blue Rose.
Yeah.
Did you? I saw something else today about the bear in the gas farm.
Yeah,
Ed's bear. Yeah, where it's got the head of a bear but no body, and somebody's comparing that to the fact that Johnny Horn's got the body of a bear but it's got no head. It's got a little glass ball on it instead of a head. And I just does that compare with Major Briggs' body and this other woman's head? Is that a little reference in there?
Wow.
What people pick out of this? Is unbelievable. Like you said, you know the hum in the Great Northern. Somebody I don't even know whether it was you guys I heard this from, but somebody recognized the note, and the note that hum is playing at 315 hertz. Which is obviously the same as the rum note. Yeah, somebody had looked at it in that much detail. And I thought, wow. And I said, but then Lynch is the sound designer. So you never know with some of these things whether you can rule them out. You know, you could look at that and say, oh, that's just ridiculous. But then you think, well, is it ridiculous? Is it about the bunny?
Yeah, what was intentional and what wasn't? It's like, you know, all those clues on the Beatles albums, you know, did they really put those in there or did they not? You know?
Well, the new theory about Dougie right now is that because he appeared in part 3, that Dougie will become Cooper in part 15. So it'll be 315. because then that gives us still 3 episodes for Cooper to do his Cooper thing.
But wouldn't they have had to written that in and then know how those hours would be edited in order to make that true? That would have been a hard thing to anticipate.
Well, I mean, they could have moved the Ed and Norma scene earlier if they'd gone in, in chronological order. But so they could have just kept pushing things. I don't know.
I think it's what you said before about what's your name, the last episode. And the theory, I don't know about the child being Laura in the flashback, but I love the idea of what's your name and the answer being Dougie Jones. If, like you say, if everything in Twin Peaks has gone to hell and everybody's life there is as bad as it seems, with a few exceptions, maybe at the end when Cooper gets his mind back, he decides to stay as Dougie Jones with Janie and Sonny Jim, because the longer that storyline goes on, the more sympathetic I've become towards Naomi Watts' character. I like that relationship now. It's a nice story, the two of them. It seems like a nice place for him to end up. So what if at the end he said, somebody, what's your name? He said, I'm Dougie Jones. And he just decides, even though he knows everything, to just stay in that situation because it's just a nicer world.
See, I would accept that more than the scary idea that he's just stuck in another lodge at the end. I don't want that to happen, where he agrees to be, stuck in the lodge for like self-sacrifice. I mean, I feel like he's already self-sacrificed himself for 25 years. I don't want a circular ending like that. I like the idea if he stayed, not that he stays Dougie Jones, but that he's Cooper. He's aware of who he is and just says, I'm just going to be over here. To me, that's very much a Terry Gilliam Brazil type of thing of just accepting an alternate fate.
Well, and he kind of did that in season 2. Remember when he's just like, I could just want to stay here in Twin Peaks,
Yeah.
Well, even in season 1, he's there 3 days before he's calling his real estate agent looking for property.
Exactly.
And that was before the funeral, before Laura's funeral.
Yeah. He likes those Douglas firs.
All right, Hal, I know you want to talk about this. Dean Hurley.
Yeah. If everybody's looking forward to the 2 official soundtracks, the one with the Angelo Badalamenti score and then the ones with the songs from the Roadhouse. But Dean Hurley put out an album on his website, which is Dean Hurley, and that's DeanHurley.bandcamp.com. And he calls it the kind of unofficial ambient soundtrack to Twin Peaks. And it's like $5 for the download with the FLAC files or lossless files. And it's great. I've been listening to it for the last couple of days. It's all of the ambient sounds. So you get like the sounds at the beginning, the title and the electric sounds and all the sounds from inside the lodges and things like that. So I like ambient music anyway, and I like the Eraserhead soundtrack. So it's more of that kind of feel.
The Eraserhead soundtrack, I don't even know if I could call that a soundtrack. It just seems like it's just the complete audio of the movie.
Yeah, but it's like if you look at ambient sounds as music, which I think David Lynch does. I think that when people say, "Oh, there's no score in this Twin Peaks: The Return," I think to David Lynch it is scored throughout. It's just more of those ambient sounds, which he sees no different than music.
No, I'm not talking about like ambient sounds. I'm saying that it just feels like they just stripped the audio of Eraserhead and just laid it out on a CD.
Which they probably did.
It's not like there's track 1, track 2, track 3. It just like they just took the audio off the movie and put it on a CD. That's all.
Yeah. But it was like that was at the beginning of that sort of industrial movement, so it was like they put that out kind of in that era. But anyway, like stuff like Brian Eno's stuff, it's like the ambient sounds. I love that stuff. So the Dean Hurley album's really, I find it really cool to drive around and listen to. It really gets you in that Twin Peaks mood.
Sure, it's got to be better than listening to the JFK soundtrack, which makes you feel completely paranoid when you're driving in a car, especially when you're going down a curb and going around the corner. You want to be stuck in a triangulated crossfire. Richard, what do you think of the music so far in this series? Are you grooving to the fact that we're ending in the Roadhouse almost every episode?
Yeah. I agree with what Hal said as well about the soundscape itself being the score, and that's just been. I couldn't understand people's criticism early on because there was lots of music, there was lots of sound in the background. It's not always about just music and songs, but in terms of the Roadhouse, I've been loving it. I did a little post a couple of weeks ago picking my 3 favorite songs so far, and I think Chromatics was in there from episode 1. I thought that was a brilliant intro. It really had that Twin Peaks feel to it and was a lovely way to close out the opening. I liked that. I liked the second Au revoir Simone song. I know they were wearing the same outfits, but the song I thought was a lot better than the first one they played.
The Chromatics are wearing the same outfit too when they come back. So
yeah. And I think, I don't know though, my favorite piece of music from the series so far has been the Platters in episode 8. The dream one, I forget, My Dream. I thought that was beautiful. That really brought back Blue Velvet for me, and the Roy Orbison and the Ketty Lester song, and just a way of juxtaposing music with what's going on screen that obviously Tarantino used to such great effect as well. But I love that song. That's been on hard repeat. And I thought Rebecca Del Rio's song as well, I thought was great. There's been a lot of people slating it because of the auto tune or whatever. I don't really understand.
That's not why I slate it. I slated because it was like 8 minutes long, and then the episode ended, and we were like, "What? That's it?" I don't know.
I just think I think I watched that episode the first time. I think it was I got up early in the morning and I had to go to work, or the boy woke up and I had to do something. So I ended up fast forwarding through most of that to check that there was nothing there. So the first time I watched it, I'll admit I didn't watch it all the way through. I fast forwarded through most of that song. But when I came back and watched it later, I think I enjoyed it all the more for it not being, because I knew that was going to be it. I didn't expect something else at the end or feel like I was being robbed. When I got to actually enjoy the song, I think it's really stayed with me, that one. But yeah, no, I love ending there. I think it's a good way to round out each episode. It's something completely different from the usual cliffhangers or whatever. But it's nice to change it up too. I like having the piano player at the end of the episode with Dougie, and ending this week with Ed in the diner. It changes it up just a little bit. So again, you don't know what to expect. You don't know whether that's going to be the end necessarily.
I always get excited when they play the music and then we cut to something else, because I'm like, yes, there's something else, as opposed to, because when the Roadhouse scenes kick in, I'm almost like, okay, I can kind of relax because here comes the credits. And when they surprise me, it's nice. How
do you think they're saving Julie Cruz till the end? Or
yes, I feel like that. But
so do you think episode 18 will end with a song from the Roadhouse?
Of course.
That's how the series will end?
No, it might start in the Roadhouse, and then the song might carry through for like a epilogue.
So you think they'll have a last scene versus a song for the last?
It could go either way. It all depends what happens right before the Roadhouse scene happens. I mean, of course, I don't know. I mean, we all know how I want it to end, but it's not going to end that way. So I don't know how a Roadhouse scene would fit in with that, except to maybe play a Roadhouse song, have Julie Cruz singing it, and then having the song carry over, and then showing some last images before, it's kind of like
cut back to the black and white giant and Coop to bookend it that way.
Oh God, no. I don't want the last image I see is Cooper trapped in someplace talking to someone.
More clues from the giant to leave us hanging.
Yeah. I don't. Yeah, no, thank you. Yeah. Well, Hal, you sent me something tonight that came out of nowhere.
That was great, wasn't
It's
it?
called Let's Rock the Twin Peaks musical. I was scared to death to click on this link. But
Me
when
too. I almost didn't click on it. I saw it a couple of times in my feed, and I was like, "That seems stupid. Why would I want to watch that? That's some horrible thing." And then finally, I couldn't take it anymore. And clicked on it. It was fantastic.
Whoever made it, I have no idea who made it because there's no name on it. So if you know who made it, have that person contact me because I think this thing is amazing. It's hilarious, and it's also like, for such a silly thing, obviously someone put time into it,
a ton of time and work into it.
And thought.
Yeah,
it wasn't just like thrown together and you know, being silly like that. What's that YouTube video, the 12 Days of Twin Peaks or something like that?
Yeah, nice.
That thing is ridiculous. But this is so goofy. It reminds me of those elf Christmas things that, you know, the people put together where you put pictures on and they all dance and stuff. But it was so clever.
Like the jib jab or whatever.
Yeah. But this was really clever, and it seemed like it was very caring. It wasn't making fun of the series. It was embracing the silliness of it all, and I thought it was spectacular. I thought it was
even at the end, they even on the credit it says "with love for Twin Peaks." You know,
yeah,
so you could tell it was a true fan just doing a thing.
Yeah, did you see this thing, Richard?
No, I've seen the 12 Days of Christmas though. Isn't that was a cast thing though? They're all on that, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. That was a fan made thing. That was I don't know how that came about.
But the YouTube video is a fan thing put together.
Oh, right.
Oh, okay. So because the cast did just an audio recording, right?
Yeah.
And somebody made a video of it. Okay.
Yeah.
That'd be a nice callback for Jack Nance. They could just play that song at some point during the series. Maybe we're gonna hit Christmas at some point.
Have the radio playing in the back.
Dead, wrapped
in plastic.
So what do you guys think of law enforcement in this new series? And the reason why I bring it up is, you know, there's a lot of people getting killed. There's a lot of people getting hurt. And law enforcement seems to be doing everything but solving anything. I mean, Bill Hastings was killed in FBI and police custody. and yet,
he's dead.
Yeah, and yet, you know, Gordon's with some French, you know, woman on his couch in his hotel room. Is pretty peculiar, and literally peculiar, right, Al?
Peculiar, yeah. Yeah, everybody said that Lynch's French girl there in his room was some sort of Lil thing, but I don't think so, because when you first cut to that scene, she's all snuggly and he's telling her a tale about, and 72 guys came over the hill, and, you know, I mean, so that was no code thing going on there. You know?
Yeah, when I saw her snuggling with him on the couch, I was like, oh, he's cheating on Tammy.
Right.
I'm still convinced.
He's got a few friends with benefits, you know. Tammy could just be another one. Gordon gets around.
How do you think you get into the Blue Rose Club?
I love the fact that in the Twin Peaks Sheriff Station, there's this whole other room at the back now where real police work happens, and there's someone on the phone who actually does something.
Yes.
Now
so there is some aspect of that going on.
But I've had Twin Peaks fans tell me that it's always been like that. We just never saw it, and I'm like, no. Sorry, Harry Truman did not have, a crackpot team of other police deputies in the back. Oh, but we saw other police deputies. They were freelance that were coming and being sent from other stations to help out. They weren't in the back room. You know, I don't know. It seemed like to me that Frank kept Lucy and Andy and Hawk on because of his devotion to his brother.
Yeah, they're grandfathered in kind of thing.
Kind of, yeah. But at the same time, Hawk seems to be doing more than Chad and Jesse. So yeah. even though he's just looking at living maps and things like that. And Andy, going to investigate Billy and this missing truck, and then the next scene he's picking out chairs with Lucy. I don't know. It's like there's no real follow through on the police work. It's
and Vegas is no different either.
Right. They're just sitting around going, "Oh, he's a FBI agent who's missing, and oh, he was escaped from prison. Okay, I'll throw it away."
Yeah, crumple that up, throw it away.
Yeah, I mean, the original series definitely was more into like police procedural, don't you think? Compared to this,
Yeah. They still didn't get much done though.
well, they at least like were investigating mysteries. It didn't take them 10 episodes to go to the Black Lodge.
I think it's still like without Cooper and Harry, that was just Hawk doing all the police work in the original series. And I think nothing much has changed there. It's still Hawk doing most of the work, most of the legwork.
Well, I remember when the show came out, there was, you know, the little Twin Peaks books that would come out, and one of the line in the pilot where Andy's crying over Laura's body and Harry says, "Oh, it's the same thing that happened in Mr. Someone's
Mr. Blodgett's barn or whatever."
Yeah. And the book said, "Well, what the hell happened in Mr. Blodgett's barn?" We never found out.
It's a bloodbath.
Right. And it's like the same thing with Mr. Strawberry and all. Everyone's still talking about that. I'm like, if we find out, I will be shocked. But I don't. That thing is meant to be whatever it's just, you know, that the doppelganger had something on the warden, and there it is. I mean, maybe Mark Frost's book will talk about it a little bit, but I don't think it's ever going to come up in this series.
Yeah, I don't feel any need for any closure on that. It was just, for me, it was just something that he obviously had over the warden that he could use, and warden's dead now anyway, so I don't think it matters, does it?
Would the doppelganger have ordered the assassination of the warden if the warden had not tried to track him? Was he really going to just leave him alone, or because the warden, you know, had 3 tracking devices on him, and also slipped the gun to Ray? I think that was the thing that cemented it. I said I wasn't going to mess with him, and then he gave Ray a gun.
I think you know, it was just why leave that dangling thread? Let's go take him out.
Right. And having Hutch and Chantel gun him down, then go to Wendy's.
Right. Yeah, you got to give Hutch and Chantel something to do. You know?
So they're going to Vegas now to take out 2 more people. Who are they taking out? We have, is it Janie and Sonny Jim? Is it? Oh, who are they supposed to take out, you think? Dougie?
Duncan Todd?
Yeah. Dougie, probably. But who would be the other one?
Yeah, I don't know. When Sarah was watching the boxing match, do we believe that was supposed to be Bushnell as a young man, or just supposed to evoke boxing in the 50s or whatever?
I think they, you know, I don't think it matters, but I think they probably want you to go, yeah, that's probably Battle and Bud, you know. It's a nice tie-in, but I don't think it has to be one way or the other. I think apparently it's more important.
So apparently that looped boxing footage as well is exactly the same length as the Woodsman's speech, the drink full and descend, and during every loop, she takes a drink of something.
Wow!
Somebody noticed that.
Wow!
I didn't notice that, but yeah, apparently it's exactly the same length, and during every repeat, she drinks something.
I don't know what is cooler, the fact that if that is true, or whether we have Twin Peaks fans sitting around with the show, stop watching everything.
No kidding.
Hal, listen, I'm one of the biggest Twin Peaks fans I've ever known. I would never sit there with a stopwatch doing this kind of stuff.
I would never even have thought to try to do that. What connection in your brain goes, hey, wait a minute. I wonder if that loop in the boxing match is the same as the guy saying that, you know, wow. It's like, how do you even ponder that mystery and then actually go and execute it and find out that it's true? And that's just fandom to the max. Yeah, but I love it. I love it. I love it. I love that there's somebody out there doing that stuff.
Yeah. And I can't think of anything else where people go into that level of detail in analysis.
Yeah. We haven't seen that since Lost for sure. So
no.
But people didn't even do this when the original show was on.
Not to that degree, no.
Well, I would argue that the original show didn't have what this new series is doing. I mean, it was mysterious, but it never. I don't think it was playing like mind games as to what reality we were watching. You know?
That's true. Like you were saying, the first series was maybe somewhat inexplicable, but your brain could wrap around it. This one has a lot more, abstractions in it to where you're just going, wow, what does that mean?
Well, because if we are on different timelines, and let's say, for instance, that Audrey is in a coma, and this is inside her head, this aspect of her, that means that we're no longer on different timelines. We're now in different planes of reality, especially with the Black Lodge, right? Well, that's wild. if we're all over the place, if it's like Inception, where it's like we're 7 layers down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, why are things looping? Or if the Big Ed reflection is true, why is that stuff happening?
Why are the diners flipping around in the double R, or Norma's double R?
Yes.
I don't know. And then of course they're playing was it Sleepwalker, whatever, during that whole thing, which is what Machen Amick was in Sleepwalkers, the movie. So it's kind of funny, the whole thing. And just even in the part 8, when they're in the diner and it references the Riverdale diner that Machen Amick's currently starring in the show Riverdale. It's like,
right. Pops.
Yeah. It's like, and then people are also accusing David Lynch of being a sellout because of all the product placement in this new series. And I'm like, well, they have to make sure they get some money from this thing.
And it's been pretty subtle, It wasn't like, they showed a close-up of the carton of Salem's when Sarah bought them. She just mentioned it.
Right. Although Chantel's Cheetos, I said Cheetos are pretty
You
evident.
didn't say generic cheese puffs.
No.
It was Cheetos. And Wendy's.
Oh, they definitely named. I don't know if Wendy's wants to be affiliated with the place that assassins go to eat at.
Yeah, you wonder if that was a paid product placement, or whether they threw that in and Wendy's would rather it that they hadn't.
Yeah, I'd certainly say it's certainly not in your face. I mean, I watched Moonraker a couple of weeks ago, and that is product placement in your face as much as anything I've ever seen. A little chase up a hillside, and you stop by. Every time you go around a corner, there's another billboard. Marlboro,
right.
7-Up, British Airways. That's in your face.
What was that Bill Cosby movie? Remember that, Leonard Part 6 or something like that?
Yeah.
And the whole movie is like a Coca-Cola commercial.
Well, one of the things that I thought was really cool in terms of product placement, and I've had some people say, "Oh, Cameron, you're just an elitist because you have an Apple." I'm like, no, it's not about that at all. But you can tell. You listen. Janie E says to the extorters, we're 99 percenters, right? And there's a big emphasis on like people who are not doing well in life, right? They're living in motorhomes and it's Dr. Am. Yeah. They're not that. I don't know. Twin Peaks never really seemed like it was a rich show. It seemed like it was all middle class. We didn't really. The trailer park in Fire Walk with Me was like the first time we saw something like that in this world. But it's interesting how you can tell the status of certain people by what computers they have, right? I mean, I know it sounds ridiculous, but the sheriff's station has Dell computers, which are known as being the cheap computers for people to get that just need to get something.
Yeah.
And then you see the sheriff has an Apple.
Yeah.
Right. And there's certain characters have certain different types of electronics, and you see who has a little bit more money than the sheriff station's not going to get the biggest, because they probably don't have that many crimes in that area. But what crimes they have, they're breaking, other dimensions.
They have funny Apple computers in the sheriff's, funny Dell computers that Andy and Lucy are working on, because they both have iOS on them. So I saw a picture of that. Somebody looked at the screen that he's looking at, and it has Apple stuff on it. So it's a weird Dell computer that runs Apple software.
the picture that Lucy has, right, of Lucy, Andy, and their kid, Wally Brando. Is that the worst Photoshop picture in history, or is that to suggest that this isn't a real reality? Again, we're not going to know until the whole thing's over.
I think that's just I have a general problem with Photoshop pictures in films anyway. Any kind of film or TV where they do that, just why can't you just get the actors together in front of a picture and just take a picture? Why do they have to do this? And it just stands out like a sore thumb every time I see it. This is just the latest example.
I've had some people tell me how, tell me if this is true or not. When I make jokes about how the sheriff's station is now directly across from the sawmill, people have told me that the sheriff's station has moved.
No.
Nah.
They say that like Bobby Briggs says, oh, it's where our station used to be. They're saying that they've moved the sheriff's station. Why would they move the sheriff's station across from the sawmill?
Does make it say that?
Something about like when they find out about Major Briggs's note about Jack Rabbit's palace. Oh, it's where the station used to be. But I think he's referring to his dad's station.
Yeah.
That's Major Briggs. Major Briggs' station.
Yeah. So
because the shooting location, it was always across from the sawmill, right? So
yes, but not.
The building is the same,
but not geographically.
But they never showed it in the show. Yeah.
Well, it never was. Come on, Hal.
Right.
The sawmill on fire was not directly across the street from the sheriff's station.
No. Right. I'm saying the filming location has been the same, but
right.
they never showed the proximity like that before.
It's the office, isn't it? I thought the sheriff's station location was the office of the sawmill.
It is.
Well,
it is. But what I'm saying though is in the original series, the sawmill is where Catherine and Pete over that area. It's not right there. You think Leo Johnson is not torching the sawmill across the street from the sheriff's station.
That is strange that they chose to show that rather than just obscure it, like they did in the original series. Wonder why they made that choice to frame it that way.
Did they? Okay, I know everything's undone on purpose. Lynch does everything on purpose, but did he just for a second just not notice? I don't know. I mean, because obviously if you've been to that location, how they could have shot that same scene without having that in the background.
Well, they did through the whole first series.
Right. Exactly.
So why make the choice to do it differently now? That seems weird. You're right.
Unless they're going to throw out this whole thing that the whole town of Twin Peaks has inverted, and then if they do that, it's brilliant.
Yeah.
If they just leave it open, I'm going to be like, I don't know. That's going to upset me.
Yeah.
And the funny thing was I didn't even notice the first time I watched the episode. Someone else told me about it. And then I went back and I'm like, oh, there are some things now you cannot unsee.
Yeah.
But
maybe you just thought people wouldn't think about it because
come on, how there are people,
I know that it's because it is that iconic smokestack.
Not only that, but there's people with stopwatches, time and boxing loops, living rooms. They're not going to notice the sawmill. And one of the first scenes we see in this new series is that sawmill gone, because they show you the sawmill, what it's like now 25 years later. It's been burned down.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It just was surprising that they would just, there it is. And again, listen, this is a small town of Twin Peaks. They don't have a lot of money. They're not up and rebuilding the sheriff's station closer to the
no.
I don't believe it. Although there has been remodeling done, because they obviously don't have that little foyer anymore. That you go from the door into the second door, and now there's just one door.
Seems like a convoluted thing to have to explain all that, though, when they could have just shot it from a different angle and not had that in the background.
Right. Well, we all know why they had a foyer in the original series, because they were filming on sets.
Yes.
And so it was much easier for them to walk in with a backdrop. And like same thing with the diner. I mean, the diner no longer has the plants and stuff along the booths, because that was a set.
Yes.
So okay. Little things like that, but big things like it's now right there with the sawmill. I don't know about that. Again, if they explain it in some sort of Twin Peaks has been, went through Jupiter and Saturn and came out the other end, and great. I'm all for it. But I don't know. Does that kind of stuff bother you, Richard?
No, not really.
So I'm just the crazy.
I hadn't even noticed the sawmill, to be honest, in that shot.
See, I didn't either until someone pointed it out. And now that's all I can see when I watch that scene.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I don't know.
I'm gonna can I say one more thing?
Yeah.
Just about because obviously it's been a few weeks since I've been on, and one of the things I have noticed that I've really have enjoyed is some of the actors who've come back and slipped so seamlessly back into their roles, right? In terms of not just how they are, but down to mannerisms and just the feel of the character. And I wanted to say, especially Dana Ashbrook, like just has all the mannerisms of Bobby Briggs down to a T. I don't know whether he watched film of himself or whether it's direction or whatever, but he just little slaps on the table and all that kind of stuff is brilliant. And Richard Beamer, man, Ben Horn he's just Ben Horn again. It's so brilliant the way. I don't know how much work Richard Beamer's done over the last 25 years, but it's clearly his acting muscles are. I thought that scene with him and Frank was one of the most beautiful scenes in the whole series so far. Just that little conversation, I just thought that was perfectly done, and part of that, a lot of that is down to Richard Beamer. I think he's fantastic. I didn't expect him to have this big a role in the series, but I think he's really added to it in terms of what he's done so far.
And the fact that he's, as far as we know, more or less a good person. I mean, he's not chomping at the cigar and planning secret deals with people behind every door. But yeah, I mean, there's no moment in the series where you're seeing him adjusting to become Ben Horn again. He just seems like he's just Ben Horn.
Yeah.
And it's great. And I've been saying for, I don't know, a while now that doesn't even feel like season 3 to me. It almost feels like Twin Peaks season 25. Like there's been a whole bunch of other stories that we just haven't seen, and we're just coming up to this current one. But I mean, these actors are so good. I want to see more of them, and I wish there was more. If there's one kind of downside to it, is that because right now all the characters are kind of isolated from each other, that I get really excited when they start meeting. And Ben Horn has just basically been in his office or in that room with Ashley Judd listening to the sound. We haven't seen him really. We don't see him walking the Great Northern because they obviously didn't have the money to build the Great Northern and walk through the dining hall and that type of thing. That kind of stuff I miss. So, and I'm hoping there's more to Jerry Horn's story than just what we're seeing. I'm sure there is, but right now it just seems like he's been played as a joke for the majority of this series. Even though he was always silly and funny, he always seemed like also a menacing presence in the original series. Like he could snap when he's like, "What's that, Blackie?"
Yeah, the way he was toying with Blackie there and teasing her with a bag of heroin, humiliating her.
Exactly.
Yeah, he was way creepier. Yeah.
Right. And this, he's silly and funny. It just seems like this doofus out in the woods.
Well, he's been reduced to even Showtime is selling a shirt with him, with pot leaves in the background and stuff.
Really?
Yeah. It's a new Jerry Horn shirt. It shows him with the beard and the whole background is pot leaves.
I guarantee you that is one piece of merchandise I will not be purchasing.
Yeah, I don't need that one either.
Are you going to be dissatisfied if we never see Cooper at all in this series? As a traditional Cooper.
I think that'll be a bit dissatisfying if we don't see, because it's kind of the traditional Cooper in the first scene with the giant and the black and white scene. So I think we're going to get that. But, I was just thinking about this the other day, if the whole series would have been traditional Cooper, that would have been disappointing because it would have been nostalgia. I'm glad they didn't go that route, even though we yearn to see that character. I think if they just would have gone back, just Cooper at the Double R eating cherry pie, that would have been super disappointing. So I'm up for whatever they give us.
Yeah, I agree. I'd like to see. I'd like to see a bit. I'd like to see more than a couple of minutes. I'd like to see an episode of Cooper, but that's just me. If it's done right and it's done well, which I'm sure it will be, then I'm sure I won't be dissatisfied with it.
Well, I can't see them not doing it. I can't see them ending with no Cooper as we know him. I mean, I think that would be dissatisfying, and I do think that it would be a wasted chance for a super big emotional payoff. So I don't see them not doing that.
Yeah, that would be a shame if it ended with the what's your name and the answer being Special Agent Dale Cooper, and then it just ends. That would be a little disappointing for me.
Well, then I think that's where you get the clamors for season 4, because then people will be like, well, season 3 was a tease. Now we want season 4 with Cooper.
Right.
So you have to satisfy the audience by giving them enough Cooper that if this is it, at least for a while, then we have to have some sort of audience satisfaction there. Even though the series goes out of its way to not seem to give people immediate satisfaction. But maybe it's a spoiler. Maybe it's not a spoiler in terms of the TMZ footage that leaked from that Periscope. Is that the doppelganger in a suit, walking into Laura's house? I don't know. Or is that Cooper walking into Laura's house? I don't know. I mean, it's Kyle in a suit walking into Laura's house. So
yeah. I want to see more Cheryl Lee and more Ray Wise too. I really want to see them.
Yeah, I think we need to know, where did Laura fly off to?
Mm-hmm. And Leland, I mean, Ray, just like Grace Zabriskie, Ray Wise is one of my favorite actors. I want to see him. I want to see him do whatever he wants to do, but just, hey, go find Laura and that's it for him. It's like, no, Ray Wise is way underutilized. Bring him in.
Yeah, I mean, he's an incredible actor as well.
Yeah.
And whatever you give him, he'll be happy to do.
He'll hit the home run, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I remember when I talked to Ray Wise years ago when he was promoting Jeepers Creepers 2. I said, would you ever do anything with David Lynch again? Because he hadn't worked with him since Fire Walk with Me. And he was just like, I would show up, in heartbeat to do anything, even in the background. So if this is all he has to do, I mean, he would have been happy doing it. But I would be shocked if this is all Leland Palmer gets to do.
I would be too.
In fact, I would almost say it would be disappointing if that's all he gets to do.
Super disappointing. Yeah.
I mean, I know some people could say, well, what's Leland Palmer going to do? He's dead. Yeah, but I'm sure they could find something.
Right. Laura's dead too.
And yet she lives.
Right.
Yeah. I know, every video is someone's first. So I just want to throw this out there. My feeling is, I'm going to be wrong, of course, but my feeling is Laura's going to be alive at the end of the series. Not necessarily as Cooper's daughter, but I think that they're going to do something to reverse the time. Either she gets out of the lodge, or they're going to reverse the time in which she never died in the first place. But if they do that, then they really have to reverse the time to make sure Bob never got into Leland. And so she grew up happy. Because you can't just have it where Leland still got Bob in her and Laura's alive and just didn't die that night. Maybe she dies 2 days later. They'd have to do something where they just completely went back and didn't, that summer at Pearl Lakes never happened.
Well, she's still in the lodge and Cooper got out. So I know there's a difference because she's dead, but I'm sure it's doable. It'd be nice. Maybe Ray Wise could arm wrestle the doppelganger for Laura's spirit.
Oh my god!
Winner takes all.
It becomes over the top with Sylvester Stallone in the final episode. They're playing Eye of the Tiger, And he's like, the doppelganger tree is like, squeeze his hand off.
Like the original script for the last episode of season 2, where it was like Bob's was in the dentist chair and all that stuff.
Yeah. Well, remember in Fire Walk with Me, the original script, it wasn't Annie in the bed. I mean, it was in the rewrite, but the original script, it was Cooper in the bed.
Oh, really?
And it said that him and Laura slept together after he communicated. I'm glad they cut that out.
What? You mean he appears to her in her bed and gives her the clue, and then he sleeps with her? He
doesn't say that clue, but he says something else to her, and then they have sex.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, no thanks.
No, didn't like that at all.
I understand there's like this tension with them because they're always kissing in the Black Lodge, but come on. I don't know. But I'm curious where they're gonna go with this, Gordon, Albert, Tammy thing. Is, they can't all be alive at the end of this series, right? Are they all gonna just live, or are we gonna get some casualties in this thing?
I think the doppelganger is probably going to wreak some more havoc before he meets a demise or goes back into the lodge or whatever is going to happen to him.
Diane's a goner. I don't think she's making out of this series alive.
So you don't think we'll have a scene with her and Good Coop once he comes back out of Dougie phase?
Well, he might be come back. Let's say he comes back in 15. We still got 3 more episodes. She could die. So.
Right. Yeah, they could meet and then she could die.
Yeah, I can't. I think Laura Dern agrees to do this role to work with David Lynch, but also, I don't know. I think they have to give her an end. I don't think Laura Dern just gets to walk away. If she does, okay, great. If it plays well, but some of these characters have to croak. I would be surprised if they all walked away alive.
You think Albert will die?
That will make me tremendously sad.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if they'll do that. But I'm curious what's going to happen with the town of Twin Peaks. Are they going to reverse everything so everything's more or less the way it was? Which I have a feeling they might do that. They're probably going to do that, or do they just? Some people are speculating there's going to be another atom bomb sequence and they're just going to blow up the whole town.
That's the last scene. The whole town it's a nuclear war.
Yeah.
Donald Trump is the billionaire and he blows up the world.
Listen. I'm going to say this in case Showtime is listening. If North Korea does anything stupid, I expect the rest of Twin Peaks to be uploaded to Showtime that day.
That's right.
So I can finish it.
Isn't that sick? I've had the same thoughts. I'm like, wow, we're the fact that we might be on the brink of nuclear war is on everybody's tongues, and it seems like it may be a reality. And I'm going, boy, I hope it doesn't happen until after Twin Peaks finishes. That is twisted, man.
Listen, it's over. They have the responsibility to upload it all to their site immediately. I mean, there's been a lot of angry people. I don't know if we talked about this or not, but part 14 has already dropped. It dropped last Sunday.
Yeah.
Sky Germany, the second time this has happened for this new series, they played the wrong episode. It speaks volumes that nobody knew it was the wrong episode until they went to the internet and started talking with friends about it and realizing that they both saw different parts.
Yeah.
Because I guess in Germany it said part 13. So they thought they were watching part 13. Because there's no thing on the title cards that say part 13. It just, but they got suspicious when the episode ended and nobody said, what story is that, Charlie? So they get on the internet and they realize, oh my goodness, we saw different parts.
But didn't they have a clue when the line was said, you are like the dreamer at some point?
I don't know.
That would have been the clue for me. I was like, wait a minute.
But it goes to show that that obviously, you know, they were surprised. So a lot of people, you know, in the US and elsewhere were saying, hey, you know, if there was this big of a screw up, then Showtime probably should have just uploaded 14 early.
Yeah.
Just so that I mean, because there's
They
spoilers running rampant.
Yeah, they should have made it available for streaming and then still aired it at its normal time for people that don't care about such things.
Well, remember when part 1 and 2 came out, they dropped 3 and 4 online that night.
Right.
And then the next week they played 3 and 4.
Yes.
That's what they should have done. Probably.
Exactly.
Don't you think? They should have just.
So, yeah.
They should
just to ensure no spoilers, because there was an error, and so let's make sure there's no spoilers.
Right. And I'm very proud of the people who, you know, managed to stay off the internet enough where they didn't get any spoilers. But yeah, they were definitely everywhere.
You did not have the self-control, Cameron.
Oh, I had control. I had the control to say yes, please. you know, I'll tell you what. So yeah, so a friend of mine overseas kindly showed me the episode via Skype. So I did see it, and it's awesome.
I must admit, I searched for a torrent thinking somebody may have uploaded it, but I wasn't sure if I found it whether I was going to watch it or not. But I did look for it.
Yeah, you know, and again, I've told people, if this had been part 16, 17, 18, no thanks. But we're still kind of, you know, 14. We're still we're not close to the end yet. So I was like, okay, let me just, you know, see how it is. And it's still in the vein of all killer and no filler. So
cool.
It's and yeah, and I can see how people would be confused that they were, you know, watching part 13, because it deals with characters we've seen before in the series, but it deals with different aspects of what's going on in the story. So there doesn't feel like to be like a whole, like, oh, are we missing something? You know, it's just
the scenes are so isolated anyway that, you know, I can see where, yeah, you wouldn't go, wait, I missed something, you know?
Yeah. So I've seen it via third party, but I can't wait to see it like on my TV blasting in my face. So
with the surround sound. Yeah.
Oh yeah. And you guys are all in for a treat. Trust me. You're not going to leave disappointed with this one. I don't think we're going to be disappointed from here on out. I can't see it. We're too close to, I don't know.
Right. And they know they're rushing towards the climax in the editing room. So, you know, I mean, they've got to ramp it up. They've got to. I think that, you know, you mentioned the bear in Big Ed's gas farm, Richard, you know, where it said, bear with me. I think that was a clue that's like, bear with me, because now we're going to get going.
Yeah, it could be.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, you know, I've enjoyed this whole series. You know, there's been bits and pieces of it that I've been like, I don't know about this, I don't know about that, but again, I feel that way about a lot of movies and TV shows I watch. So, and then the whole point of these podcasts is to discuss it. And it would be completely boring if we just said everything was a masterpiece every second, because it would be the point. You know, we just show up and be like, it's great, it's wonderful, goodbye, everybody.
Yeah, good night, everybody. It's fantastic. Thank you.
It is, but I mean, as fantastic as it is, we can then explore why it's fantastic, or you know, I really like this part, but I was kind of like, for instance, part 13, I loved the whole episode, but that stage roll dive that Ray did when he got shot was kind of ridiculous. You know, it's like, I don't know, it just seemed a little over the top. Like Lynch was trying to do some John Woo stuff there, and it just did not work out. But yeah. So any other thoughts before we wrap this up, or any other discussions you'd like to throw out?
Yeah, I want a gym set like Sonny Jim.
You want Swan Lake playing with it?
Sure, why not?
Listen, I got a little scared when that happened, because we had the spotlight going and Sonny Jim was launching off that what do you call it?
Trampoline.
The trampoline, like the jumping boy.
Yeah.
I was like, oh no.
Well, and the Swan Lake music, the Tchaikovsky, you know, I've always associated that with Dracula because
Right.
they play that at the 1931 Dracula, Bela Lugosi Dracula.
And for the Mummy.
Oh yeah, it's in there
Yeah.
too. Huh?
Yeah, I mean, it was a more stylized version of that. It wasn't the classic version of it, but yeah, creepy stuff. But yeah, I mean, the Mitchum brothers promised a gym set, and they gave him one.
They delivered.
Yeah, I have
Sonny Jim's in seventh heaven.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? We need the Mitchum brothers to just take out the doppelganger. Wouldn't it be great if they just plugged them? Or I remember said the Woodsmen would all show up and all hell would break loose, and maybe they'll show like the Woodsmen like crashing the casino and just eating everybody,
or marveling at the air conditioning.
Yeah. There's.
Can you imagine the Woodsman with candy.
No. Drink full. Crack. Yeah. No, I don't think so.
Or are the Mitchum brothers the double header that Hutch and Chantal are after?
Yeah,
that was a thought.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's who the second person is,
and of course,
besides being Ike.
There's silly people out there who think that that Dougie's going to end up with Candy. I'm like, okay. No. I mean, I understand this thing's unpredictable, but that would be there'd be no build up to that whatsoever. Yeah, just no, I don't think so. But you know, I'm hoping the Mitchum brothers have some sort of, I don't know, maybe they take out Richard Horn or something. I want them to be utilized in just being the goofy brothers out in the desert to get the box of pie. But,
I want a scene where the laughing detective meets Heidi and they laugh.
Exactly. Someone made a joke online when Sky Germany made that mistake by dropping part 14. They said on the comments, I thought you Germans were always on time. Oh boy. All right. Funny. So anything else before we go?
No, let's see. We plugged Let's Rock the Musical. We plugged Dean Hurley's album. What else? We plugged the Twin Peaks dolls.
Yeah.
We've covered it.
I think so.
It's looking forward to part 14, 8 p.m. Sunday.
What's it called again?
It's called
see, now I can't remember this one.
We Are Like the Dreamer.
Yeah. That's
no spoilers.
No, I'm just saying that actually is a good title.
You know who says it.
I do, but
good. Keep that poker face. I don't want.
I'm not spoiling anything. I'm not spoiling anything, but it's nobody will be disappointed with this episode. Or if you are, you know, you've been off the train for a while.
Rocking good news.
Exactly. You got to do the snap though. Or it's like
yeah.
You know, something's been bothering my mind, sugar.
Back to the wild at heart. Time to pull that one out.
You're 20 years old.
You got a lot of that same power that E had.
Exactly. But I do think that I'm still believing that this series is going to end with a happy ending at some point, in some way. I don't know what that is, but I don't think we're ending in darkness and delusion. This whole series has been darkness. Yeah. I think it has to end with a happy ending, and I don't even think a bittersweet ending. I think it's just going to be a happy ending.
I think Lynch loves that world too much to leave it on a dark note.
It's been a dark note the whole series.
Yeah, I know, but I mean that will make the sweet note to end even sweeter.
And that's why the ending of, I can't remember which part, where Dougie and the Mitchum brothers were in the restaurant. That's what made it so moving. The fact that they brought back this elderly woman to be like, Mr. Jackpots, I've changed my whole life. And it's because we've gone through the hell that we've seen the light.
Yeah.
You know, if it's just all darkness and gloom and doom, there's no point in watching this thing. You know.
And if you like that old lady that loves Mr. Jackpots, make sure you watch the musical, Twin Peaks the musical.
And it's only like 2 minutes long, so it's
yeah.
But yeah, no, I think that's like the best thing I've seen on the internet today.
You linked to that on Twin Peaks Worldwide, right?
I did. I can't post it. I can't post it in the show notes here because YouTube doesn't like external links to other streaming sites.
Right.
So make sure to just seek it out. Google it. Twin Peaks the musical. Let's Rock. It's called.
Let's Rock. The Twin Peaks musical.
Exactly. So, all right, Hal. Thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure. And I'll see you Sunday for the instant reaction.
You're not going to cop out on me this weekend, are you?
I promise. No, I'll be there.
All right. Richard, I cannot believe you got up at 3 a.m. to come talk to us.
Well, it's summer holidays, Cameron. I'm off school at the moment, so I'm going straight back to bed now. It's 5:45, so I've got a few hours. Yeah. But I have woken up a bit as the time has gone on, and yeah, it's been a pleasure.
Well, it's after midnight for Hal, and it's almost 6 for you, and we're all starting to drift off. So
to fade, yeah,
exactly. But this has been a wonderful discussion. Thank you guys for joining me. I really appreciate it.
Cool.
Definitely.
All right, everybody, you know what to do. Thumbs up the videos, share it. Be sure to subscribe to the main channel, and really appreciate you guys taking the time to watch this with us. And we will see you Sunday with the instant reaction for part 14 of this new series of Twin Peaks. Take it easy, and we will see you soon.